My daily routine that helps me improve my mental health is working out.
I have a cat, I have a dog, love spending time with them.
Sleep has been the most transformative thing for me, and it is so helpful.
I take the time to do like meditation and stuff like that.
Practice makes perfect into kind of breaking bad habits and building good ones.
I promote.
Yo promuevo y practico la salud mental positiva.
Oh my goodness! Okay, let's go!
Brutal and beautiful.
Today marks a pivotal day of an epic journey that has all led up to this, the Apex Legends Global Series North American Pro League, coming to you from the very first time from the Apex Legends dropship. And alongside me, we got Fallout, we got Persia. And Fallout, let's start with you as a mainstay in the ALGS community. What are you feeling like as we kick off day one of the North American Pro League?
I gotta tell you, EMEA lived up to all the hype of this new Pro League format, but I gotta be honest right now, North America, NRG, Complexity, we're about to see them on display, and I am beyond excited. It's gonna be a great time today. Persia, how you feeling?
I am super excited. Like you said, EMEA had an amazing start, but we did have a couple of games in there that almost felt like pubs, and I don't expect to see any of that coming out of NA today.
No, but you know what? We're going to see some things that might look and feel a little bit different than our year number one. This is year two after all. So we've actually put it all together in a nice little tournament explainer video. Take a look. After an incredible inaugural year of the ALGS, it's time for a fresh start. The ALGS has been reborn with a whole new season and tournament system, and we wanted to give you a quick intro to all the changes that are coming your way.
Our path is made today.
To start, the new ALGS has been broken into two distinct splits, each with its own playoff series and all feeding into the season-ending 2022 ALGS Championship. The season will begin with 40 teams in each of the 5 global regions. 20 of these teams were invited to the ALGS based on their previous ALGS performance and other considerations. The remaining 20 slots have been filled by teams having fought their way in through a preseason competition. These 40 squads have been split into 4 groups of 10 and play in a double round-robin system throughout the 5-week, 12-match regular season, earning points based on their performance. At the end of the first split, teams will be broken into 3 groups. Top-ranked teams that qualify for the Split 1 playoffs, middle-ranked teams that auto-qualify for Split 2, and at-risk teams at the bottom of the table. The 8 lowest-ranked teams in Split 1 will move down to face off against the top-ranked teams from the Challenger circuit in the Pro League qualifier. This do-or-die 2-day tournament will determine which 8 teams return to join the rest of the competition for Split 2. And we'll all be waiting to see if the Split 1 veterans can emerge victorious or fall and be replaced by hungry new faces. The Split 1 playoffs will be a global event involving the top-ranked teams from each region facing off in a 40-team clash to claim glory, cash prizes, and playoff points. In addition to the playoff title and points, each region's performance in the Split 1 playoffs will impact how many teams each region will send to the Split 2 playoffs, with higher-performing regions unlocking more slots. Of course, at the end of the playoffs, the top 3 finishers will officially be the first teams to secure their place in the 2022 ALGS Championship. All the playoff teams will then move back into their respective regions to begin Split 2. We know this is a lot to take in. For more information on all of the ALGS rules, scoring, and schedules, read our blog about the season at playapex.com/ALGS. Now, it's time to settle in, because the battles are about to begin.
Time to rock and load, fellas.
And the battles are about to begin as we take a look at this North American participating teams here. Fallout, as a year 1 vet coming into year number 2, talk to me a little bit about this new format and what it means.
Absolutely, I love it. Year 2, better than ever, but it's also what you loved about year 1. Still open qualifiers. Anyone watching right now can compete and can qualify through. Still global, still, of course, an amazing format overall in terms of the competition, but it's a freaking Pro League. We got a Pro League and a Battle Royale and an Apex Legends, which is amazing because that means the best teams you'll guaranteed get to see every single week. I love that consistency. I love the fact that console players can compete, more inclusive, more countries are available to compete as well. I really do love this format.
The format's excellent. Persia, let's talk about what you're seeing on the screen here with our North American participating teams. We talked about it in EMEA, and you know what? I'm going to echo what I said earlier. There doesn't appear to be a group of death because they're all deadly. And as we look in B versus C, Persia.
Absolutely. We are looking specifically at B and C, although I feel like I could go on for days about some of the other groups. But today is going to be full of action because we're seeing some teams, last year's CLG has kind of dispersed to different teams this time around, and I believe all of them are in B and C today. So we're kind of going to see some people go head to head who used to be together, and there might increase some rivalries there because of that.
That's right. And I will say, Kate, Ghost Gaming making their ALGS debut. I'm excited to see what this Ghost roster can do. And of course, we have a lot more to talk about in terms of teams. But the map schedule, you know it, you love it. It's the new and improved World's Edge for the first time in ALGS. We'll have a chance to see this new World's Edge map, which has really showed well in EMEA.
It does indeed, for sure. And as I mentioned here, want to follow up with that follow-up. This is a World's Edge map for sure, but there's certainly some more POIs and a bunch other different updates to this map that people are going to recognize here in Pro Play.
Absolutely. Saw a lot of changes come through, and you saw that come into effect in EMEA as well. So, yeah, excited to see World's Edge on display here. Wish it was back in ranked. Maybe one day we'll be watching.
Ooh. Maybe indeed. Exactly. Well, you know what? That means it's time for us to take a look at the sites, to break into our analysts' minds and find out who they're looking at here in these scary lobbies for BNC. And that means it's time for our Lenovo Legion teams to watch. And Lenovo bringing it in for the real thing here and making you both really work for your supper here. Let's start with you, Fallout. Who has your heart today? Who is a team to watch coming in hot for our NA Day 1 for Pro League?
Yeah, to be honest, you'd be remiss not to start with the powerhouse team in NRG. How could you ignore them? They dominated the tail end of Season 1, Winter Circuit playoff champions, won a couple Winter Circuit online tournaments, and completely decimated in group stages of ALGS championships. Unfortunately, came up a bit shorter than their expectations in ALGS champs, but of course, we're excited to see what they can do. As we got EMEA on screen right now, we'll see if we can flip that over to NA, but NRG is my team number 1 to watch for obvious reasons. Sweet Dreams, Rocker, Nathan, arguably some of the best slaying power of any team in all of Apex. I'm excited to see what they can do. Persia, walk me through team 2.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I put Torrent on here because they've been playing really well. They fight from such weird and awkward angles that you don't expect to work, and then they do. On top of the fact that Yuris is absolutely a powerhouse when it comes to slaying power, and this team is formerly Alpine Esports, which got 7th place last year ALGS. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this team does in the Pro League.
And the last but not least for me, it's complexity. And my question is, which complexity will show up today and in the Pro League? I mean, this is a team that is a 4-time multi-champion in ALGS, one of the most dominant teams in that Bloodhound era, that Bloodhound meta of Season 5, Season 6, kind of fell off a little bit, obviously much lower to their expectations in ALGS championships and towards the end of Winter Circuit, but no argument, they are the best communicating team, one of the most coordinated teams, and that's thanks to the IGL and Monsoon. I'm excited to see them bounce back here.
Excellent. And, we want to thank Lenovo for that. This has been our Lenovo Legion teams to watch here on the ALGS Pro League for North America. And of course, we know there are so many teams to watch, and it's hard, of course, to get down to just that top 3. John, as you said it earlier, used to be 5. So your work has been cut out for you here today. But, we also have been talking as talent about these teams, not just going into today, but also across the board. And as we mentioned, today is only B and C for North America. Tomorrow, A versus D for North America and our EMEA team. So remember that. But I know I've got some predictions here for some of our talent, and I want to double check that as we come into it. Okay, I see there is one very distinct difference. Persia, let's start with you. You went for NRG alongside Fallout.
How can you not consider NRG? Like we said before, massive slaying power out of this team. Sweet is an amazing IGL and the type of player who, if he sees a player that is standout, that he has trouble against, he'll run some games with you on his team and knows how to stir the pot on top of that. So I think that type of intel is going to go big in this series.
Yeah, and for me, Kate, also NRG, I think Persia said it all, but I love the picks coming through from you and from Gaskin and Complexity. I think it's a great call. And an Onset and Renegades, they get leveled up. They pick up Vaxlon from CLG. CLG obviously disbanding. Vax goes to Renegades, and Lu goes to Sentinels. I think the Sentinel squad will pop off. They're an honorable mention for me as well, alongside Ghost Gaming in their debut. I'm excited to see what they can do.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And, honorable mention is a great way to put it. We are actually going to give ourselves just a moment and say, hey, thank you so much for watching. Persia, last thoughts before we jump off into our game number 1.
To be honest, I just want to get into it. I could give you all the thoughts all day, but we want to see some gameplay right now. I am ready.
There it is. And you know what? So are we. So with that, I'm going to see myself out and toss it back over to you both for game number 1 here in the North American Pro League. Tourney 1, here we go.
Thank you so much, Kate. And everybody in the chat right now, blow it up because North America is about to be live with game number 1. We got NRG, we got Complexity, Ghost Gaming, Renegades, Sentinels. The list goes on. Of course, your favorite, we got Torrent as well.
Yeah, we have so many teams, and just like I mentioned during EMEA, the teams that have been playing through the preseason are going to have a little more familiarity with the current state of Apex, but this lobby is definitely going to be stacked. A few other things I'm keeping in mind is the fact that TSM is not in these two groups, which means some POIs might be opening up. Will Benchwarmers decide to spread their wings and kind of take on over other elements of Fragment this time?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think I'm glad you brought up TSM because we'd be remiss not to. TSM Liquid, congratulations, Fun officially gets signed by Team Liquid, and we'd be ultra remiss to not mention 100 Thieves, the champs of ALGS North America Season 1, getting signed by 100 Thieves, making their debut. You're going to, of course, have a chance to watch them tomorrow in their official debut, as we'll have Groups A versus D. But this is Groups B and C. We got Complexity drop into their home spot. They always dominate this northern side of the map, and honestly, you don't blame other teams for not trying to contest them because they're such heavy hitters. If you drop near them, they are going to push you. That's Complexity style of play, ultra aggressive, as they're running this Gibraltar, Wraith, and Valkyrie comp.
And honestly, I feel like if you don't get a chance to play much competitive or even watch it, it is hard to really understand the power of a team to stop any other team from landing on them.
Yeah, that's right. And if you ever just listen into their team comms, you'll understand exactly why. Hopefully we'll have a chance to listen to the Complexity at some point today. One of my favorite things to do, and I'm sure a lot of y'all in the chat agree, is we also take a look at Unlucky. They're going to get trials for free, which is huge, obviously, as Team Liquid traditionally used to drop trials. And that's obviously an opportunity to get some great loot in Human. Dominant Slayer in his own right. Unlucky is going to have trials for free this time because, of course, no Liquid, no other teams that might contest.
And Fallout, I think that could shake things up in later weekends during this first split, right? Because we have these teams getting a taste of what it's like to go after these different POIs. If they do well enough, are they going to have the audacity to try to defend these spots in other games and against other groups who are known to land in these places?
Yeah, that's a great point. That's what's so cool about this Pro League format, right? We have 4 different groups of 10. It's a double round robin for 12 weeks. So that means every group is going to play each other twice. And depending on what group you're playing, that completely changes your style of play. It changes your strats, changes your rotations, changes where you drop. And here's a good example, a team dropping trials, but next time they go and play against Team Liquid in Group A, they might not necessarily do the same thing.
Taking out the Prowlers here, easy peasy. Obviously, this makes a ruckus, but at this point, people already know where everyone is landing. They don't really have to worry too much about people sneaking up on them, unless they have a pretty heated rivalry with someone nearby. Usually, that's not the case.
That's right. That's the benefit of dropping trials, obviously. Look at the loot. You see a gold shield already in the hands of that squad. Meanwhile, we shared a lot of love and respect for NRG. We shared a prediction, my friend, so we're in this together. You know, ride or die. If NRG can go big in prediction. So far, I'm in only behind by 2 points to Gaskin. You took a little bit of an L with that Alliance pick, which I don't blame you. Alliance is safe.
About it.
I don't blame you, though. That was a safe pick. Alliance obviously just didn't show up in EU as you'd expected.
I was, especially when they whipped out the crypto, I was like, man, I might have a chance here, but it's here. All good.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the one thing that's interesting, too, right? We talked a lot about this in the EMEA broadcast, but for those that missed it, Alliance played with a Valkyrie Caustic team comp early, and much like we just saw there, and they actually game 3 switched and went with Crypto Octane. And that's why I say Alliance, in my opinion, the biggest brain team, maybe alongside TSM and some others, of any team in Apex Legends, is because of their ability to adjust and adapt and change their playstyle on the fly. If you are a professional player in a video game, you should have at least 3, 4, 5 different strats, variations, styles of play, and you should be able to adapt and be versatile. We saw that from Alliance. I wonder if we'll see it here in North America, Persia.
Definitely. I mean, they say a jack of all trades is a master of none, but that's not always the case with some of these players, because a lot of using these legends really just comes down to your gun skill. Yes, there's abilities and stuff like that you will have to get used to, but you always have your gun skill to rely on, just in case you're not as familiar with the legend you're using.
Yeah, that's right. Take a look at Sentinels. Also, great loot, great kit, early rotation over to Geyser. So here we go. To kick things off in terms of rings, it's going to be an Eastern zone. And a little early to tell. We'll try and see if we can find a player that's gotten a scan on a beacon, where that ring's going to be pulling. Here we go. It's actually going to be up towards Northern Fragment East, over towards Geyser, and of course this additional no-named village nearby. Interesting things will ensue here as teams are going to try and rotate early. Here comes a rotation from Torrent. Free rotation with Valkyrie, which obviously has stirred up some controversy in terms of what that means for meta. And Senox, a little slight miss shot right there. Good to know it happens to pro players as well, not just me.
For sure. I mean, looks like there's a lot of trouble here in Geyser. Everyone is starting to rotate slowly but surely, but a lot of action kicking off, and Tor definitely not in a good position to start and actually goes out at 20th place.
Oh boy, that's a big play right there, and a big misplay for Torrent. They get taken out early. 2 squads are already eliminated from that one. Madness is going to get taken down as well. So the Benchwarmers, a team that I was really looking forward to on paper, an awesome team, a fun team to watch, highly entertaining. I'm obviously a big fan of Madness and his approach, his professionalism, but he gets taken out early here. So alongside Torrent, we'll see how they bounce back in game 2, but they're out of this one.
This side of the map, you know, near Geyser and over here in this small town, it can be very congested because there's really only a handful of ways for you to rotate through here. So we're seeing that come into full effect. A lot of teams just caught out here in the open because every safe building is occupied.
That's right. And with this ring in particular, the importance of early rotations cannot be emphasized enough because of this exact reason. You rotate late. Torrent was pretty early on their rotation, but still, despite that, coming from Skyhook East, it's a pretty far rotation. Obviously, they got there quick with Valkyrie, but too little too late as they got taken out. So you got to rotate early and kind of claim which building you're going to sit in, claim your real estate early when you have a zone that has a ton of buildings and a ton of cover, like what we're seeing here in Geyser.
Paula, I have a question for
What's
you.
up?
You know, on paper, Seer seems like the type of character you would want on your team to get a lay of the land. Who is in all of these buildings? Can we find our way in? Yet, I really only saw maybe one Seer pop up during EMEA in the preseason. Not too much of him at all. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, you know, obviously there was a lot of hype early on, and you know, meta got changed quite a bit, and it was interesting games to watch, to say the least. But obviously with the nerfs that came through, I think they were too strong. And ultimately, yeah, the scan is great, but you get that with the Bloodhound, you get that with some other legends, you get that recon with Crypto, but you get a lot more utility with some of these other characters. So in my opinion, that's a big part of it. I think ultimately the nerfs is what did it here.
Energy ammo here.
Yep, we've seen major changes from last season's meta to this season's meta, and a lot of it does have to do with the changes we see out of these legends each and every patch. You know, Caustic is making a much bigger showing here in NA than in EMEA, but there's a reason for that. Those late rings, they start getting real stinky and real foggy real fast.
That's right. Taking a look here, Sentinels, I mentioned it earlier, but early rotation from them, all the way from Lava Siphon, I believe is where they drop. And in a pretty good spot. I'm excited to see what they can do. I mean, this is a team that I've always just loved watching, but they haven't necessarily lived up to the expectations that their skill, I think, sets them up for. With the addition of Lou, arguably a top 5 Slayer in North America, I mean, just as good, you got to say, as the Rockers, the Nathans of the world. I'm excited to see what they can do here. I think they will be a top team in the Pro League, but they got to perform.
Yep, exactly. It's all about the performance, and this is where it really counts because every single game, every single point is going to mean so much more than it did before, especially now that they know that even though they are racking up these points, the overall point at the end of the day, and that they'll carry over from weekend to weekend, is what's going to set them apart.
That's right. As we take a look at Unlucky, Senpai, Celos, and Inhuman, we saw with some early loot and a good kind of drop spot. They find themselves rotating and find a pretty decent spot. So you're going to be sitting low ground in the canyon here. Or sorry, the valley is a decent spot to be in overall, but could be a little bit dangerous as teams start to collapse. It can depend where this ring's going to be ultimately be going. But back to that point on Sentinels, and in particular about Lou, what a journey he's had, right? He's been on a variety of teams, I think 4 or 5 different teams in his Apex career, starting with FlyQuest, then played with his brother Monsoon on Complexity, got dropped from Complexity, went over to CLG, or sorry, to Rogue, played really well for them, then went to CLG, now with Sentinels. He's pretty much been on every top team or top brand in Apex, and he's performed every step of the way. All the adversity he's faced, and obviously many people are aware he's you know, not afraid to talk about it, which I respect tremendously. Losing his father, the adversity he went through last year, and on top, despite all of that, has still always performed and continues to perform. So nothing but respect for Lou as a player.
Definitely, and inspirational, really, and just carrying that passion through and through, and that experience with all these different teams, all these different styles of players, and really learning how to be an all-around glue to the team is invaluable in a game like Apex.
Hit the nail on the head. Speaking of complexity, Blue's former teammates in Monsoon and Reptar. Of course, they replace him with Shiny, and it's interesting about complexity. Despite suboptimal performance from complexity in the ALGS championships, no roster changes. I really respect. They really feel like they have that secret sauce with Shiny, and when you listen to them and you see exactly why. So in sync, always brothers that live down in Dallas, Texas together, and play with each other. Part of that complexity compound. Big shout to the complexity organization. My friend Ash's general manager over there. A great organization. Jason Lake and everyone else. Great organization across the board.
And they're looking pretty confident right now, staying on the rooftops, putting down some fire left and right at pretty long distances. Doesn't seem to have too much concern about the backside right now. Kind of have their backs to the ring. And still playing the low angle down here is unlucky. And I would call this spot unlucky, but there doesn't seem to be too many people up in the high ground to really grief them right now.
Yeah, with Caustic as well, they should be chilling. We saw Monsoon get a long-range pick, and they're playing the very complexity style of play, which is edge, gatekeeping, a lot of poke, a lot of aggression, and it's always calculated aggression. They make the right decisions. They're very well coordinated as a squad, and they find themselves in what I believe is a 3v3 fight here on this edge. Let's see how complexity plays this.
Not pushing in, not going too ham right now, still just weighing their options and trading damage here and there, which is good for leveling up the Evo shield. Reptar gets his purple off of that one and backs up immediately because, low-key, I think that's all he wanted.
That's right. They did get a knock, though, and I wonder what happened after that knock. It looks like, it was actually on Dank, and Dank got revived here. So, decided not to push that. Probably a wise decision, but now it's going to be Lazarus. That's going to be gatekeeping complexity. They do have Valkyrie, so they could use Skyward Dive from Valkyrie to rotate. We'll see how they play this, but we get to see Lazarus on screen for the very first time. And again, a major congratulations to this squad getting picked up by Lazarus today. The announcement went out. Congratulations and big shot to the Lazarus organization for re-entering Apex Legends with a great team. I'm a big fan of this squad and what they're capable of. We'll see what they can do here. G7
right
Dank
on time with the pickup, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect timing.
The L-Star Fallout. The L-Star.
Oh, yeah.
It is just running rampant this whole season. Such a chunky gun, does so much damage, surprising range, and, if you're caught out in the open, you know what? No more talks about the L-Star because the Kraber is in Vize's hands.
This man's running an L-Star and Kraber combo. He's about to make people real mad, big mad right now. So let's see what Vize can do with the Kraber and L-Star in hands, but you're right, it absolutely melts and shreds. A close eye here. I love how Lazarus is playing this in the swivel, making sure they're not going to get flanked or poked, and going to get to the right level of recon that they need in Geyser, while also just keeping complexity at bay, because likely, they know it's complexity. They know it's a team that likes to pick fights. I love what we're seeing right now by Lazarus. They're keeping complexity on their toes.
Now over on Era's side, Era Eternity here has some good angles. We see some ults kind of going down, but no one really trying to push. The contrast in aggression right now, but great shots coming out of Stunny with the R301, just trying to peek over, steal some damage where he can, but as of right now, no good line of sight.
Yeah, that's right. Bowser, former member of Renegades. Peanut butter sandwiches before then. Playing alongside Stunny and Tech Candy. Obviously, Stunny, that's a big level up for him. And here comes the push. Looks like they want it. Bowser's gonna make the call, and great damage being put in to start. Meanwhile, Lou's gonna get a pick on Kubsky, former member of Flashpoint. Bowser wisely decides to back out, though, because he recognizes there's a third party nearby. This is not a fight that we want to take, because we will be the unfortunate recipient of a third party.
Bowser, his life flashing before his eyes right there, but honestly, that is the blessing and the curse of Octane. You can get out of there quickly, which means you can kind of step out, kind of push in, get a little bit of damage and run, but you're sacrificing some life, and a few wingman shots later, you might be dead.
That's right. Hambino is the kill leader of the lobby of Premier. Looking great. Nice shots being put in. Slurpee's going to back out. And that's that get out of jail card that you have if you're Slurpee and if you're a Wraith player. Obviously not as great as it once was when they nerfed it, but Slurpee is able to get out of dodge there.
Yeah, it's more of a get out of jail for half price.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Ain't free. Ain't free no more. I like this team comp, though. Octane, Wraith, very aggressive team comp. Meanwhile, Lazarus, the opposite. They're running Caustic. And Gibraltar and Valkyrie here. It's a Kraber shot. Not going to connect. Who wants that one back?
Close, but no cigar. Slowly running out of ammo here. Round 3 is going to start coming to a close. So still some decent amount of ammo to work with on this Kraber, but I don't expect it to be around in the final rings.
Yep, I did just see Stunny get knocked by the hands of the likes of Complexity. So here's Complexity now. Look at this wide rotation that they made. Wise decisions from Complexity. This is a tough game. They are sweating right now. They are stressed.
Ooh,
Headshot. That's not a headshot, but the shot's going to come through from Fitter.
Bubble was gone. The Kraber shot was there. Like clockwork. All out, it's like clockwork. They showed up just at the right time. Ring is coming in, but they're still in a great position right here.
That's right. Kraber still in hand. 5 shots. Needs to start being a little stingy, a little conservative with those Kraber shots. You want to save that for late game.
Let's go here.
As a free engage, if you can hit a headshot. So we'll see how they decide to play it, but they all have slightly leveled up Evo shields. And they took care of a lot of the garbage that was behind them. A lot of teams that were kind of on the edge there. Nice shot from them.
Yep, Noble now, an extremely consistent team, racked up so many points in the preseason qualifiers. These guys know how to get into the final ring. They know how to survive, and they know how to do all of these things, but they've struggled a little bit with clutching out final moments. So let's see what they've done to adjust that.
Yeah, that's right. Lucas, no longer Farmer Lucas. He's clearly, he's leveled up. Now he's an Apex player, so he got rid of Farmer in his name, but jokes aside, shot to Farmer Lucas and the Farm Boys, who burst into the scene in ALGS as kind of an underdog team, popped out of nowhere and popped off with some great performances, and now, of course, secured himself a spot on Noble.
He's doing a different type of farming these days, Fallout.
Yeah, that's right.
No more crops, all the shots, all right?
Meanwhile, we got some off-screen picture-in-picture action here, as we do have the Kraber. We can't let you miss it. We got to catch every single Kraber shot as we're keeping a close eye on that picture-in-picture. It's still Lazarus. Valkyrie ult's going to come in. Here's rotation and picture-in-picture. Meanwhile, on screen with Joe Max, our Mexican team playing, representing Latin America.
You'd love to see it. I'm half Mexican myself, so I definitely love to see it. It's always a good time to see that representation. And, look at them. Patient, calm, easy. They're not really making any heavy pushes. They're kind of waiting right now to move in because there's a lot of action going down right below them.
Right. Back to Lazarus and that Kraber. They find themselves hiding in every single possible branch, any possible angle that they can have, but they're going to get tagged up. Dank's going to get knocked, and it's looking a little scary. Vize is still alive, and we'll have a Dome Shield momentarily. Should be able to pull off a revive here and another Dome Shield when that cooldown comes down. It's all up to Fitter, though. He has to make a play with that Evo Shield. Meanwhile, back on board with Legacy Mexico. See what he can do. They're going to get taken out. Sorry.
They got out instantly. You see, every time I throw some props on a team, it doesn't go well. The commentator's curse is real.
That's right. And look at Unlucky flying through and taking out Lazarus, cleaning up his Inhuman. Last alive for his team, actually. He takes out 2, and it's Madness in the kill feed. Keep an eye at the top right of your screen. NRG gets taken out by the hands of Renegades. That is big.
My goodness, the way this is unfolding, so much action happening simultaneously right now that we do have to rely on the kill feed a little bit. But we've got W right here trying to play the edge of this rock, and being out in the open definitely is going to call for that bubble. Now they have a few seconds to decide what their plan is going to be. Are they going to try to sneak some shields or some resources before the bubble goes down? Because they don't have much time.
That's right. W, the former Cinderella story of ALGS Championships, my little phony. See what they can do. We got Rolla Theory making their debut in ALGS. Renegades, look at this spot from them. A slight god spot here on high ground and putting in great shots. Pow Pow knocks Phony, and they are just cleaning up. Renegades, in my opinion, one of the best positioned teams to win this game here. Look at the zone at the top left of your screen. Easy rotation for them on high ground. Renegades, well suited.
Absolutely. It's looking solid for them right now as everyone else down low is just really going through it. Sniper shots coming out left and right. I feel like we see a little bit more sniper action over here in NA, which makes it even more difficult to kind of play these low ground areas in these tight little spots that can be easily exposed by any pixel. So it's going to be interesting to see in the closer and smaller rounds, though, if the sniper game really pays off.
That's right. We got Rolla Theory. I talked about them. rookies to the ALGS scene. Maybe are they the next aim assist? A team of 3 controller players that started grinding, worked their way up, see what they can do. Amaze getting some good shots in, but it's a rampage. That thing shoots hella slow, and it's an LMG, so long range, you're not going to connect for a whole lot. Unfortunately, Amaze gets actually knocked and punished. So not looking good for Roller Theory right now. It's going to be Wraith who's trying to get out of dodge. Meanwhile, Complexity still alive. They're going to take out Renegades, who is in such a good spot. Complexity is looking so strong here, Persia.
And just like that, we thought Renegades had it all. We thought they were looking solid, but Complexity here really fighting through the fire and the flames. One left, Reptar drops down. Trice got the shield swap. How smooth was that? Is still alive, but for how much longer? Truly.
There's the question. That was one of the smoothest shield swaps we've seen. Clutch shield swaps we've seen under pressure. Reptar stays alive, but finally gets taken out. You just saw from Crust. So we know Sentinels is still alive. We have Noble still alive. 4 squads remain in game number 1. And what a start it's been, Persia.
Really, I mean, look at this positioning from Noble. We talked about it a bit earlier. They definitely know how to survive. They know where to play, and they secure those places early. We just need them to clutch it up. And so far, it's so good, especially with all of these wingman shots connecting from the heavens right now.
Impulse, formerly known as Impulsive Dreams, getting some good wingman shots across map. Lucas, Farmer Lucas on the far right flank. I like this teamwork. I like these angles by Noble. And meanwhile, Sentinel still doing work. We'll have to keep a close eye on them. Senior Service, a team I had on my radar, as No Cocoa Puffs makes his return to competitive Apex. It's been great to see. Gets signed by TSM, leading this team now and looking great with this squad. Senior Service has a chance to win it.
Senior Service, definitely a shout outs to No Cocoa Puffs because I've watched plenty of his hilarious videos while learning Apex, and it's just facts. He spits so many facts about a lot of these guns. Always a great time, and definitely excited to see him in the Pro League.
That's right, great people as well. So it all comes down to this. A triangle of squads here. We got 3 teams remaining. Sentinels, Senior Service alive, and it's Noble on high ground, but it's a central zone. So again, top left of your screen, the zone's going to be pulling to the very center of that line, which doesn't always happen. This last zone closes in really slowly and can pull any direction or any area in this last circle, but this time it's going to be center circle. All 3 of these teams are going to be forced to fight.
Should be interesting to see what they decide to do here. Noble has a good amount of time up here on the high ground. The team to the bottom left of though might be their biggest problem. I almost want to see if they don't have the busy ult. If they did have the ult, I was going to say they could flush them out, but that's not going to be the case. They're going to have to play this one really slow.
That's right. That would have been huge to have. You usually want to save that, give you ult to late game, but they probably had a reason that they had to use it earlier. So no Gibraltar ult for this team. Other teams may have it. Bloodhound not going to be great in this late game necessarily, but they do have high ground. They're taking every bit of advantage they can. But look at the team fire coming from low ground from Sentinels. They absolutely beam Rakanishu of Noble, and that opens up an opportunity for Sentinels to close this.
They're still up there in the high ground for as long as possible, though, and Noble just needs to buy enough time for these 2 teams to start fighting, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
No, definitely not. Impulse is knocked as well. That's going to be it for them. It all comes down to this 3 versus 3 fight. Sentinels versus Senior Service. The wide right flank. The great 88 shots going to be through from Senok. And just like that, but Noble's still alive. One member of Noble is leaving into a 1 versus 1. It's Lucas. Farmer Lucas is alive versus, I believe, Senok of Sentinels. Lucas gets a couple good shots. Ava 8 is going to do absolute work, but he's not finishing through. He's going to get taken out. And Sentinels wins it. What a game number 1. Noble almost steals it under the nose of Sen.
Holy smokes, Fallout. The way Sentinels was playing the knockdown shield right there. And such a heartbreaker for Noble because we talked about it before, how consistent they are. We always see them in these top 3 situations. But the clutch is never there and it's so heartbreaking. But Sentinels definitely played that perfectly and that's why they took home the dub.
That's right. What a game number 1. My heart's beating like it's the ALGS Championships again. Like I'm watching 100 Thieves take the dub. This is insane. It's the first game. I shouldn't be losing my voice. I don't even know what to say. Crazy start. And we got the game 1 results already ready for you. Look at this performance from Sentinels. 20-point game for them. What a start.
20 points. First place. Highest on the list in kills. If that's not making a statement game 1, I don't know what is.
That's right. Noble right behind him, though. Good showing from them. They get 15 total points to their name. Senior Service, though, with the Elevate logo there. But Senior Service, 14 total points, a great start. Complexity, we saw them make something out of nothing, honestly, having to rotate all the way from the north side of the map. Tough rotations, really under pressure the entire game. They still perform and get earned 5th place as a result.
NRG, a surprising 10th place right there, but this is the first game after all, and honestly, it really is just going to come down to positioning. We saw so many great teams go down because they weren't in the right position, and that just goes to show that anyone is really in this game.
That's right. And one thing to keep in mind that's important here to note, Noble, I believe, drops in Geyser, so that means they had a very, very favorable zone. They played their zone well. Sentinels, who ended up taking it, well, they dropped, I think, in Lava Siphon, so a fairly close rotation for them as well. So it just goes to show the importance of rotating early, but also, you know, zones. When you have an opportunity in a game to have a zone near you, you got to capitalize. Both these teams did.
Yep, and something else interesting about that too is that Noble does land in Geyser, but we saw them rotate out pretty early, and I wonder if that is because they noticed that the ring was coming to their location, and it can be a little bit dangerous like we saw before.
That's right. Let's take a look at the overall leaderboard. Shouldn't be too much different than what we saw before, and that's going to be the case here. Sentinels in first place at 20, then Noble, Senior Service, Premier, Complexity, Roll of Theory. What's up, controller players? Represent 7 points. Right behind them, Renegades. Onset's pick looked pretty strong, but got taken out relatively early, and then you said it. We got Lazarus, Unlucky, and NRG in 10th.
But this is only game one. I'm looking forward to seeing the adjustments out of this team because honestly, that's the most fun part, right? We see what happens in game one, but how these pros react in game 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, that's where the fun begins.
That's right. It was a hell of a game one, though. Not going to lie, as you can tell by the fact that, you know, I kind of almost had a heart attack. It's crazy game one, crazy start. If that's a sign of what's to come, well, it's going to be a crazy day, my friends. Welcome to the Apex Legends Global Series Pro League inaugural kickoff for North America. We're going to jump to a quick break. When we come back, we got Onset, we got Gaskin, we got game number 2 right after this.
I got him. He's weak. He grabbed the armor saw. Good shit. Yeah, it's fucking good. Good shit, Chris. Oh my god. That fucking sucks, man. That fucking sucks, man. No fucking.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS Pro League. It's North America time. Game 1 already in the books, and you have the man with the most mysterious beard in esports, Dan Gaskin, and myself on set to take you through Game 2. But before we get there, Dan, let's have a little walk down memory lane and see what we just saw in Game 1, because for me, there was a couple of plays in that end game that looked like there might be some nerves in some of these teams. Oh, sensible.
Yeah, Noble held arguably the best spot in the game throughout the majority, ever since they moved up to the Hill House, had the game in their hands, and they did throw it away. I think they'll look back at that one, they'll want it again. You heard in the communication, Sentinel was even surprised that they were able to take the victory. I think they said something like, this player really sucks, which, you know, you always throw out that trash talk when you're going to beat someone in a 1v1 regardless, but I think Noble will be biting at the bit to try and, well, have another go at that, a little bit of revenge later on. But a few questionable plays here and there from certain teams. Torrent valking in on the Doritos as well. That was something I was surprised by. Basically just taking a 50-50, and in the end they ruined their game and the other team's game, and I want to see less of that. I want to see a bit more strategy when it comes to landing. They could have probably just traversed the map normally and got like a similar result. So I don't know, Valk is still a questionable one for me, but certainly there were lots of highs and lows in that game.
Yeah, it felt like a little bit of a nervy lobby to me, to be honest with you, for the first game. And no surprise to see that. The only man who had ice in his veins was Crust in those final moments, hitting the big shots with the PK. And the fact that he had to reload as well. Plus, he got the comments from his teammate that there was an armor swap coming in. I'm not sure if that was true or not. That's just added pressure on your shoulders. When you ain't got any bullets in your gun, when you ain't got any armor yourself, and you just hear in your ear, he's just got an armor swap, you got to hit big shots, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, that's almost like something I wouldn't want to hear from my teammates. Like, they're just like, yeah, I already know, like, this is difficult, why make it worse for me, just let me focus. But also, they did kind of keep the comms nice and calm and chill. Like, just little, like, tidbits here and there. He's had an armor swap, or he's low, things like that, rather than just screaming, like, oh, he's late, this one's down, this one's down, he's on. Just let the player do the work. He did the work, won the 1v1. They get the points on the board, and it's a nice early start for Sentinels. I think they'll be delighted with that one. There were at times they were probably thinking, okay, is this even winnable, looking at where Noble currently reside on the map, but they got it in the end. Now they can move to game 2 with lots of confidence.
Yeah, Noble had to drop at some point, and I think when they had the shots being exchanged between the two teams, they thought maybe that was their chance to push, but it was just a little bit mistimed. The late bubble from Sentinels, the latest bubble of the two teams that was down on the low ground, gave them that opportunity to kind of reset for just a second before they managed to get those kills on board. And for Sentinels, that's huge. I mean, I love this new Sentinels lineup. I have to be honest with you. Retzi obviously retiring from Apex. We love everything you did, Retzi. You're one of my favorite players to watch. But Lou coming into that team, there is a stupid, that almost unfair amount of mechanical ability on that team. The important thing for them, though, is the vibes in game. Are they communicating in a positive way? Are they pulling off the things that they want to do? After a game 1 victory down, this is the kind of momentum that Sentinels could use to really storm through the lobby.
There are teams like that, aren't they? That they have their high highs and they have their low lows, and certainly Sentinels, now they have that high, you think they can carry the momentum through to the next games, but it's whether, if one mistake can suddenly bring that vibe back down again. We did get the kind of the opportunity to witness a lot of these teams who did make roster changes throughout the off-season during like arena tournaments, so we got to see the communication, we got to see what the mood was like, we got to see what the teamwork was like and the chemistry, and certainly Sentinels were one of those teams that I was like, yeah, they could be the real deal here. Not that they weren't the real deal before, again, echoing the words you said, but certainly adding a player like Lou just brings, I don't know, something a little bit extra to this team, a little bit of spice, and I'm very excited to see how they progress throughout the next 5 games today.
You had the spice in the comms at the end, and rightly so. You can say what you want at the end of the game if you win it in a clutch 1v1. That's how I see things anyway. You win it, you're allowed to say what you want, but it was a magnificent performance and a clutch moment from them. And to be honest with you, when you look at the lobby and you look at some of the notable teams, so to speak, that were invited into the Pro League, they were the ones who were there in the endgame, Dan. You had the likes of Complexity playing down on that low ground. Pretty good game 1 from them. You had the likes of Renegades involved as well, and of course you had Sentinels right at the end. NRG may be one of those teams who didn't quite make it through to that end game. They didn't quite get into those final battles, but as far as kind of seeding in the lobby is concerned, it seemed like the biggest teams were the ones who turned up in that game number 1 as we head towards game number 2.
Certainly not as many surprises in game 1 as we had in EMEA. We saw a few more playoff teams kind of show up and be like, hey, we're here to party. We don't care if you were invited. We're going to be the real deal. But we jump into game 2 then. NRG is who we're going to follow for now. Certainly in game 1, for the majority, it seems like there weren't too many early fights. People were able to get POIs pretty cleanly. There was a few scraps nearby, but no direct contests. So that will be pretty good news for those in North America. This is about the closest you're going to get for a fight, or at least that's what we had in game 1 anyway.
Yeah, it's POI to POI as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's about as good as you get. However, a little bit of early damage there from Sweet, just letting the team over at Harvester know that NRG are in control of staging. There was a thought in my head that maybe there might be a bit of contesting over at staging early on, a couple of teams that like to land over here, but NRG are probably quite rightly so, the respect being shown, and they will be in control here. NRG also taking this low ground and just moving up as much as they can at the moment, as they will do for now. But we are going to see the zone in a few moments as well. Hopefully we can get a beacon as well to give everybody who's watching at home the best indication possible of where we are going to see that final zone closing. And hey, Nathan, you got white armor? Hey, look, it just turned purple.
That's a good magic trick. There we go. There's a circle for you. It's just going to be just south of Skyhook, north of Fragment West. A nice little area to play. Certainly you could go for the tunnels if you wanted to go for the tunnels, but it's going to be difficult to rotate for those teams who are on the far southeast side of the map, particularly Dome and Lava City. You want to try and be rotating early. This is where the Valkyries are going to come in handy. We did see one kill in the kill feed, but I think it was Scissors going down to Synced, or maybe the other way around. I can't really remember now because I went a little bit southward with where I wanted to go with my point. But either way, a player has fallen, and we'll have to see whether those 2 remaining players will be able to get that one back up, or whether we're going to have a nice old situation where we get a full 20 back on the board.
Well, the building which is going to have the highest value, so to speak, in the nicest neighborhood with the nicest coffee shops and lovely walks and surrounding areas is going to be that Beacon building, which is outside of the tracks, just in the train station just to the north of Fragment West. That's where teams are going to try to want to control and try to get to early. It's going to be difficult for teams rotating in late, though. Valkyrie might be one of those legends who does have an effect on this lobby with some late landing coming in, because there isn't a huge amount of playable area. I'd expect a few teams to maybe kind of stack up in Fragment West, but it's going to be a difficult rotation for those teams out of Frag West towards that end zone.
Yeah, we're going to see people taking the risk of Valking early-ish, but that could be argued as less of a risk than Valking late, because there's more likely to be teams there the later you go on. But at the same time, you go into such uncharted territory when you Valkin. Yes, okay, she's going to, ping those players as you approach them, but sometimes those players are going to be hiding in buildings. They're going to be out of view. It's what happened to Torrent in that previous game, but Lazarus are going to be making their move over towards Fragment, and they'll just hope that they don't have to land on a team here and take a 50-50 fight.
It should be safe for now. I don't think too many teams would have made their rotation as yet into Fragment West. You can see just on the scan, nothing really popping up. Sentinels, they're taking their time a little bit more here, and I think that they realize this is a tougher zone for them to rotate to, and they don't have the Valkyrie as well, so it's going to be kind of a classic edge game here from Sentinels, and you can play like that. It's recognizing that this isn't a zone which is A, got a huge amount of playable space for them, and B, they've already got points on the board, so they can kind of just play for KP around edge of zone, to have that hermit crab approach of taking a team out who's in a fight, taking that spot and kind of slowly slithering their way towards that end zone.
Yeah, and they will find success playing like that for the most part. It's just if someone else gets involved in a third party, if they just happen to have to take a fight because someone pushes them and then a third party comes to spoil things, that's the only thing you're going to be concerned about. But I think most people are concerned when that's the way that certain people play.
Well, let's have a listen in with NRG now. Not the best game one for them, but not the worst one either. So let's jump into the comms, see what Sweet's got to say.
Yeah, I have a white backpack. I can't really craft an egg.
Yeah, so do I.
Same. I'm watching the southwest ramp. We kind of want to bait people, like walk up here, and then I have a good side angle on them.
Ghost is in this lobby, yeah. They're probably gonna be flying in soon from.
They rotate to like lava for sure though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but they like to go around to like Skyhook over here.
Well, it's season 2, Dan, but the curse of me calling for listen-ins, still very much alive. Very quiet one there from NRG, and not too much to communicate, to be honest with you. You can see what they're trying to do, just play around that beacon, get the information they need to, and then just use this high ground to catch any teams on the rotation.
We did hear the knowledge, though, of the lobby in general. Just like, Ghost is in this lobby, right? We know where they're rotating from. We think they'll be diving in soon, but they do like to rotate around this way. You can tell the research has been done, the scrims have been played, and it's just about being aware of every team that could potentially be in your lobby or that is in your lobby when it's down to groups. And of course, B versus C at the moment, but A versus D tomorrow. B will eventually play A, B will eventually play D. You need to be prepared for all variables. And that was just, even though it's very small communication, just certain things that come in that are also very important that all the team is aware of.
A couple of teams are stacked up at the moment inside this building, inside West Fragment. You can see that Max is trying to maybe get a few angles. However, he's got to be careful here, because if he doesn't get the angles right, especially with white armor, he can find himself on his back very, very quickly. So this is where you're going to see a few teams stacked up, as I said earlier. You have the high ground advantage over anyone who is moving in. They also have roof control, plus they have Valkyrie as well. So if they can hold off these teams from below, we'll be able to make a late move in and kind of take to the skies and avoid that treacherous uphill walk they'll have to take otherwise.
I was about to say we're back up to 60 players, but one player has just been knocked as I was going to. But very impressed that everyone is kind of keeping themselves to themselves. They're looting up, they're moving, they're rotating. No one's taking any silly fights just yet. Everyone very much just has the agreement that they are going to move slowly and surely across the map. But Sentinels are taking on Renegades. Just as I say things were slowly approaching a certain way, Sentinels are flying at Renegades.
They really are. Figuratively and literally, as Xenox is trying to chase down this final KP. He knows that's an extra point on the board. The armor swap, I'm not sure if he managed to get that one. Can he finish the kill though? But Crust is there. That will be Renegades taken down. I think that last player is actually still alive, as the body was the one finished off in the kill feed by Crust. And I think that Xenox is going to have to give this one up. Just back up. Get back to that position they were holding down before, as Vaxilon using the Bloodhound ultimate to scarper away at the last second, the one thing that maybe can just about outrun an Octane.
Come on, Vaxilon, you've got to do it for Onset's predictions here. You can't be falling down in 20th place and make my boy upset. That's not allowed to happen. But Sentinels demonstrating their aggression, but at the right time. They came across Renegades during a rotation, and sometimes you have to take that fight. And by being able to win that early engagement, just gives them a really nice pace to approach the rest of the game now. They've got the KP sorted. They've got this area of the map down to just themselves, so they should be able to rotate freely into the map from where they currently reside.
Yeah, I'm interested in their rotation, actually, what the next move is going to be for Sentinels. Are they going to go to the west here through the tunnel and then rotate up north towards where NRG have been holding down on top of the high platform on Landslide? Or are they going to move their way into Fragment? It looks like they have a little peek at this tunnel. And it looks like that might be the call here. So maybe the tunnel actually is going to be a little scarp around the outside of Fragment. So decisions being made here by Sentinels. And to be honest with you, it's a pretty good one, because NRG holding down that high ground, they've got no need to move. NRG have got one plan in mind. The last thing you want to be doing is moving through an area where you might be giving information to another team and might get caught out in a 1v1 fight.
I like this rotation. I like this decision as well from Sentinels. They could have gone kind of train yard area, but again, if they have done their research, if they know the teams, they know full well that they could just being held there by another team residing in that area. So instead, they're going for something they think is a little bit safer. We can see it is a lot safer, but of course, we have the lay of the land. We can see where everyone currently is right now. But in this spot, they can wait. They can be patient. Oh, as I say that, they do get caught out and they are spotted. That's going to be bad news, because that's going to bring a lot of unnecessary kind of attraction from the rest of the lobby to this area.
Well, as the shots come in, let's jump into a listening now with Sentinels and see what that next move is going to be and what the call is from the IGL.
Seem to make sure if anyone's over here, we gotta like slide under bridge or some bullshit if they hard.
Yeah, I just don't want all three of them to be.
I have 5 bats we need.
So what's gonna happen here is we're gonna run up to the rock to our left, like right on my ping, and that's what we're gonna play for the time being. But we're all gonna run at the same time, so these kids like don't have time to like line their shot up on us. Let's go in like 10 seconds, like at 45, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Really not trying to waste meds on that shit. It's a waste of time.
I was gonna say any universe I can play the choke, but I can't. We just have to stare at the choke from here, like bonus.
Can you walk up? Can you stim over here, Adam, and check the choke? Because if we can just play this, if there's no one here, I don't think there's anybody there. Go in here.
I need you to scan it. I
walk up with him.
I can get to you, but I'm gonna fucking charge over.
Really, really good listening there. situation isn't looking too good for them. Krusty's going to have to expend another battery here, as Lou's going to have to use the bubble as well. So utility being used as Complexity find themselves losing a member here. Monsoon has been knocked, and he could finish as well.
Yeah, Reptar desperately trying to assist Shiny, who's going to be stuck between a rock and hard place, is going to be able to portal away, but Monsoon getting caught out is terrible news here for Complexity, and the last two remaining players are probably just going to have to escape without even going for the banner here, and that already puts you on the back foot throughout the rest of this game, because you're in a 2 versus 3 for every fight. Maybe you could look to try and re-peek and grab that banner, but looking at where it is, you're probably just leaving Monsoon for this game, and you've got to do what you can do as 2 players.
Yeah, a little bit different if you've got the Wraith still alive, but it looks like Reptar might be making a late move. We'll have to see how this one does play out. This was the actual fight itself as we take a look at the replay as Slurpee G moved in, and he was the one to actually get that knock as we see more fighting going down. So a lot of teams starting to get involved with those fights down, but as we did see from the numbers popping up in the top right-hand corner, still 20 full squads still alive. I should say, with a couple of players possibly missing, 7 players missing. As I say that, we go back to live, and we've lost our first squad. But the fact that Zone 2 is closing now, we're about to hit Zone 3, and we've got so many players and teams alive, is showing how the pace of this lobby has kind of found itself, and how everybody is playing for every single inch of grass that they can find.
Complexity were hoping that that team was going to retreat far enough they could have grabbed the banner. They were watching it, eagerly hoping that they were going to be able to dive in, but I wonder whether they know they're going up against another 2. If they were watching the kill feed, they probably would have realized that, yes, there was one player who fell. It was during that initial skirmish that the team also went down, so I think they were attempting to third party at first. Didn't really work out. SXG did take down a member of their team, and now both teams are lesser off because of it. The only difference, SXG have the banner. They can just deploy that, they can get the beacon on the go, and they can get that player back up to a full complement of health. But it's just whether this draws unnecessary attention to them now.
A lot of pressure here on Zednim just to hold off these teams and these players who are looking at that respawn, seeing it lighting up in the sky and thinking that's an easy KP for us if we could take advantage. Not quite as easy as it used to be, of course. Now you can drop in with those white Evo shields, but Evo shields are one thing, get them removed by a longbow is another. Zednim's now forced to back up. This is a pretty tough situation to try and play for them. Here's Lazarus now getting involved and trying to force their way in to the bottom of this building in Fragment West. The ult goes down. That's going to buy them a little bit of time to reset as they took some damage.
Yeah, you speak about tough situations, but being stuck on the outside of this building with your back to God knows what, having to force your way in, so you really need to get that Caustic ultimate down. The Caustic needs to then go and claim the territory from the other team. This is exactly what Dank is doing at the moment. All those barrels just making sure they claim this area, get rid of any other barrels that are currently in residence, and then you expect a team to be above you at this point. Maybe even 2 teams above you when we're looking at this zone and where things could be pulled. The scan will give the information away as to where they are, but Lazarus have at least made this work for now.
We have Valkyrie as well, so as we mentioned earlier, still they will be safe for the next zone, but have the ability to use that skyward dive to get over that upward run, which is going to be very tough for the likes of Era Eternity to make. They're going to use that jump pad to go up to the top, and it looks like they're going to actually get very aggressive. The bubble goes down as well. It will be exchanged, and now the team down on the bottom floor might be interested in having a little look at this if a knock does go down.
Everyone having a little sniff, just keeping an eye on that kill feed and just having a little listen to see whether there's a lot of damage just ringing around these buildings. But for now, Era Eternity are on the very tippity top of this building and will very much hold the priority zone for now. They can do some damage to those who are oncoming from elsewhere, inside or outside the circle, and they can just keep tabs on who's below them in the building. So they're not in a bad spot, that's for sure, but W are in a very nice spot right now. The only bad side about being here is there is probably a team above them, and if they do give away their position, they may be dropped on.
A very playable area here, but have to be careful of your angles, especially with still 19 squads alive here, by the way, ladies and gents. And with 14 seconds remaining on round 3 closing, I said there wasn't a huge amount of playable area. Well, color me corrected, because they have somehow managed to find themselves in playable areas. But as we say that, now we're starting to see the kill feed get a little bit more interesting. Reptar picking up a knock there onto Protectful, excuse me. Slurpee G is now the kill leader in the lobby with 3 as Roller Theory just trying to hold out these teams. Remember, making a tough rotation from Skyhook. One of them is NRG.
Slightly different to the game 5 of EMEA earlier, where there was only 10 teams left in Zone 3. Whereas we know North Americans, they're purists. They like to play this game to its core. And I love to see it as well. Still 19 squads. Tempest will get down by Nathan and finished as well. But now SXG elsewhere are pushing in, trying to get a little attack on the go. Protectful will fall down to the shots of the Mastiff. And now the rest of the squad will just hold under these train tracks here, but need to hold together. Because when this bubble runs out, they could be in a little spot of bother. Looks like they've pulled on just fine for now, but back to NRG, and oh god, this is an absolute carnage that's unfolding.
That's the banner. Looking for the armor swap. Does get that one as well. So Nathan has an opportunity here to stay alive for a few seconds, but it's not looking good here for NRG. 19 squads remaining, and Nathan feeling incredibly lonely here as he tried to make that rotation out from Skyhook. Sweet's going to be finished off by Wicked as well, as we see more kills now going to Sinus Please, who have held under that bridge for Kit as well to get himself back up to full health, but it looks like at the moment the lobby is starting to kick off. Even though I'm saying that, 17 squads are still remaining, and this is becoming more and more difficult to find anywhere to call a home.
Well, it was SXG who made things difficult for Complexity a little bit earlier. You see where I was going with that one. And now you can see that they are kill leader as well. At least one of the players was kill leader. They've been able to find quite a few successful attacks on other teams just when they're a little bit weak, whether it be against 2 players or not, doesn't matter. They've got the job done. Speaking of Complexity, Shiny's just lost one. Xenox has gone down for Sentinels, as well as Sync falling. So members of teams falling everywhere at the moment, but not too many wipes.
SXG, making sure their backs are clear. It's a really smart play from them. They were holding on to that track for quite some time, but making sure there's going to be no one rotating in from the epicenter side from the north is going to be vital for them. Reptar now redeploying with Valkyrie, and this is a solo and a YOLO play. Vaxlon falls to the ring. 14 squads now remaining as Tech Candy gets involved for Era Eternity. Ghosts are going to lose one player as 6 goes down. Sentinels in the kill feed as well, and all of a sudden, things are starting to get extremely interesting as Reptar has found himself a little bit of high ground to play, and he might have found himself a knock and maybe a point at least to Complexity.
Yeah, he's done his job by getting to the top 15 and got some KP, so that works out for Reptar if he did get the finish, but I'm not sure even if he did. Torrent are also in a very difficult spot right now. They're going to be down to just 1, make that a wipe, and just like that, the kill feed exploding in front of your very eyes. Sentinels, also only 1 member remaining. Roller Theory on the other side. It seems like every squad has lost 1, if not 2 players at this point. Surely someone's got 3 still alive.
Here comes Lou from Sentinels with the Eva 8 in hand, combining with his teammate Xenox to pick up some kills. Lou now the kill leader after Sentinels game 1 performance. This really has been something special from them in game 2 as well. Getting into that top 10 from a difficult rotation, but now all the pressure falls onto the shoulders of Xenox. Last player alive here for Sentinels.
Xenox has already gone down once as well, but is back up to full health here. Now can reset. Doesn't have to go for the res. Instead, it's about just prioritizing doing damage and being as big as you can as a solo player to try and intimidate the other teams, try and make them think you're not a solo player, make them think that you're at least a 2, just to stop them from pushing. But it doesn't look like it's going to stop Estral Esports. They will push in, get the finish onto Lou, and they'll probably dive in and try and get the chase on the go. But for now, they're more than happy to have the loot here while Xenox escapes elsewhere. Nox has also gone down. Madnos has gone down. Like, everyone's gone down.
Yeah, Xenox escaped.
Oh, now he goes down.
As we now see him go down. Lazarus making their late rotation with all this carnage going down. It's all about timing on the redeploy from Valkyrie. The Skyward dive is good. However, that's a slippy looking rock as they fall down, and unfortunately it's just G7 Dank who will fall down. His 2 teammates manage to cling on for dear life towards his endgame, but if you can watch that kill feed and you can hold on to that Skyward dive for as long as possible, the more teams that fall, the more effective it will be, as there will be a playable area for you to land on.
I've never seen a caustic climb so fast, but there we are. We've seen something new today as the bombardments are starting to arrive. Estral Esports have the bubble to protect them for now, but that bubble is going to be dissipating any second. This is just so crazy with the amount of teams that were alive in this circle that everyone has not been able to really reset to a point where they're comfortable. Instead, everyone is on edge. Anxiety is floating around World's Edge right now, and I'd say only 2 or 3 teams probably know what on earth is going on. The rest are just trying to figure it out as they go. One of these teams being Era Eternity. They're at a full 3, they're all red armors, and the position they currently reside in, I'd say, is a pretty powerful one.
A very powerful one. Inside of that truck on the train station is going to be massive for them. Some blind fire through the smoke coming in from Noko. Gonna try and get that shield swap as well. Stays alive for now. Tech Candy's gonna be moving in to pick up some more KP with that Arc Star in the feed. He's also got the alternator in hand as well. So shields are gonna be shredded like cheese here on World's Edge towards this endgame.
Here comes Era Eternity then. They recognize there's a weak team below them, or at least Tech Candy did. Has to get away though. Big old hitbox as Gibby. The armor swap was there, but actually the armor swap has already been taken. So instead you're going to have to bat up. 4 squads remaining now, 1 more being wiped. But Era Eternity still holding one of the power positions. Just need to be a little bit careful that they don't get targeted by too many teams. You can see a team right in front of them to the south. If they're aware of that team, then they may decide they want to push them first. But at the moment, they're just waiting, biding their time, hoping that Lazarus or one of the other teams who's still left is instead going to take the fight for them.
I'm sure that Tech Candy not only has an alternator, he might have just found a Kraber as well. We'll have to double check on that, and that would be massive for them towards this endgame. Lazarus are the team who are trying to kind of posture up and look through the cracks to see if they can get some damage. But yes, Tech Candy has found himself a Kraber. It's the ultimate care package duo for him, and he has a real opportunity now to do a huge amount of damage as he scopes in on this player just creeping behind this container. Is he going to pop up? Yes, he is, but it's just the 145, not the knock he was looking for.
But Bowser will get the knock elsewhere, so it's no Coco Puffs who goes down. The damage from the Kraber was enough just to at least to provide the assist, and now there's going to be 3 squads remaining, with Hambino being the last player to fall on that team. So the last 3, Lazarus and Era Eternity, the 2 healthiest squads right now, and Lazarus in a really sneaky spot where they can deal a lot of damage here, but they have to move soon.
Here comes the move from Era Eternity. They've padded over everyone. The bubble has gone down as well. However, their bubble will go before the other teams. However, things might have just been made a lot easier for them, as now they could just bide their time. Lazarus move in. They win that fight. However, it's just going to open the door here, surely, for Era Eternity to close things out. Yes, they do. Game 2 is Era Eternity's.
I think Era Eternity would have been disappointed if they didn't come out with that with a victory, considering the position they were in and how healthy they were, and just how they were able to think about what they wanted to do for the end game. There were so many teams there who were having to think on the fly, having to make last-minute decisions, probably didn't know who was where, what was going on, just throwing ultimates left, right, and center to try and survive. Whereas Era Eternity just watched the carnage unfold in front of them. They were able to get a game plan. It was assisted by Noko's team, I must say. They pushed Lazarus, and they made that very easy for Era Eternity in the end. But I think it's a deserved victory from when we joined them anyway, the position they were in and how they played out.
We say it so many times, it's one thing to have the position, it's another thing to execute, and they did it absolutely perfectly. The jump pad over as well, just a small thing. Sometimes, you know, teams are going to be focusing you. If you can take that second to cross, to bubble, it buys you that little bit of time for the lines of sight to become available for the other 2 teams to engage. So that little bit of movement, absolutely vital towards their success there. And you can see from the Game 2 results, it wasn't just placements. They picked up 9 kills on their way to that first place finish, down 21 points for Era Eternity.
You can understand why Senior Service went for that play to try and at least push Lazarus. They recognized that they were kind of stuck in a difficult position where only 2 players were up at that point. So they had to try and at least wrestle away a second place or pick up some KP. If they had just hid where they were, they would have been focused by both teams in the end, and they would have come out with the same result anyway. So they did take a risk. Yes, it helped Era Eternity, but you can understand why they did it. As we go further down the leaderboard, Sentinels, they did pick up 8 kills. Despite they didn't get the placement, they certainly got the points thanks to those 8 KP. So they'll still be climbing that leaderboard. They'll still be at the tippity top, you'd imagine, even despite Era Eternity getting the W there.
Yeah, very impressive performance from a lot of the teams there. I want to give a shout out to Sentinels as well. Maybe not the placement points they were looking for, but it seems like individually and as a team, they are picking up so many KP at the moment now.
Yeah, I mean, as I just mentioned, I think that's going to keep them at the top of the leaderboards. Otherwise, if it doesn't, they're still only going to be like 1 point behind, if that. Like, I haven't got the quick math because I didn't see the leaderboard for long enough because my brain doesn't work like that. I need more time. But ultimately, they'll be happy. First 2 games, job done. First game, they get the win, they get kills. Second game, they don't get the win, but they got plenty of kills to keep them right at the tippity top. As for the rest of the lobby, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned about how quickly they want to rotate, about where they're going to be rotating. I love how these lobbies are playing out. I love the fact that we had 20 teams left in Zone 4, that it just exploded into mayhem, and we dropped from 20 to 11 with a snap of Thanos' fingers. Honestly, things were just, they were popping off. I'm loving it.
Let's have a look at the overall leaderboard then and see how things are looking after 2 games and see if there's any movers and any shakers. And it's Sentinels at the top with 30 points. Like you said, Dan, just doing enough to hold on to that first place spot. Era Eternity with the win jump up 11 spots into second place, where they will be tied up with Senior Service, Voltic and Coco Puffs and Davis Wave. 23 points for both of those teams respectively. But looking across at the moment, Torrent, not the best of starts for them, down in 20th place. Only 2 points on the board.
Yeah, they've had a rough couple of games. The first one, we highlighted it, where they had to Valk. Well, they felt like they had to Valk, and they ended up landing on another team that they didn't know was there, and they were punished for it. We didn't actually see what happened to them in game number 2, but certainly just the 2 KP isn't going to be enough for them to try and project themselves to the top end of the leaderboard here. But it's all about Sentinels at the moment. It's about can they slow them down, because it seems like they're picking up so much pace. But it was Era Eternity who were the victors here in game number 2, and they'll be delighted to be not only getting the W, but also a decent amount of kills to go alongside it.
Yeah, good damage from all of the players. You can see here, Stunny having a massive game, 1,742 damage for him, just the 3 kills, but you know, he was doing a lot of work in that end game, suppressing so many teams, and to be honest with you, probably ending a lot of the competitors' teams around them from having any kind of opportunity to push on the position that they were holding down. Very impressive performance all round there from Era Eternity.
Yeah, I think that now they're going into game number 3 with a victory, that's going to change how they're going to approach these games. Because they've already picked up a decent amount of points, they can be a little bit more patient with how they want to play. They don't have to get aggressive. They don't have to look for kills in the early game. They can play zone. They've already seen that playing zone has worked for them. We can see there's not too many teams in this lobby who are valking in late and really spoiling things. Yes, okay, there are a few here or there, but they seem to be a little bit more tactical about when they're using those Valk ults. We're seeing them a lot earlier. We're seeing them for positioning in the early game rather than last-minute desperate attempts to kind of avoid gunfights and end up just a stupid 50-50.
Well, that is going to do it for game 2. It was a very healthy lobby, and it was Era Eternity who managed to come out with the win. It's time for us to go for a break, though, but when we get back, we're not going to have any more game 2s. It's time for game 3.
Hold up, wait, who's the others?
Aim that.
Give me crack!
Right here, cross it. Right here on my ping.
Guys, let's fucking go, baby!
Let's go. Good shit, boy. Good shit.
Let's go!
So, join our team, Stunny.
Lenovo Legion. Gaming PCs that are stylish on the outside and savage on the inside. Lenovo Legion is the official PC and monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS kickoff, where we are live with yet another 6-game series. We started with EMEA, now we got North America, and let me tell you, so far, Persia, North America is absolutely living up to the hype.
How many squads did we see still alive that far into the game? Absolutely amazing, different pace that we've seen so far, but also we gotta talk about Era at the end of that game. Talk about textbook third party, textbook plays on how to secure a dub. You let the other people do the hard work. Play smarter, not harder, and that's exactly what they did.
Absolutely. You got to hear a little bit of the hype too with the listening and the replays there as well. But honestly, Lazarus was doing a good job giving them some poke, putting some pressure on them. They had to play a very good late game right there, and Era did exactly that. They close out, and I'll tell you, you talk a lot about certain players that have a great effect on teams. Well, one, it's Lou. Any team he goes to, they just excel. 2, Bowser. I mean, honestly, you could look at Bowser and his trajectory. He actually joined a pickup Australian team at the first LAN tournament he competed in back in Poland in 2019. Did fairly well, and since then, it just made every team better, and he does the same thing with their Eternity here.
And honestly, it's got to feel really good for him to take that dub, especially when he got some other teams in this lobby that probably have a really big rivalry with.
That's right. And one of which might be Renegades, no longer on that Renegade squad. So.
Not naming any names. Just kidding. Definitely Renegades.
That's right. Renegades, of course, picking up Baxlon. And as a result, right now, it's Air Eternity has the last laugh as they are on top of the leaderboard. We'll take a look here. Second place with 23 points. Renegades, well, they're all the way in 11th place with 7 points. But we got a lot of Apex to play. Our prediction, NRG, also not faring very, very well so far. What do you think in your eyes is going wrong with NRG?
I mean, it's early, and a lot of these players play way more aggressively than I think some of the invited teams are ready for, and that might be the reason why. And I think some of these teams are starting to realize the impact of KP, and they're like, 20 squads, the ring is small, let's just try to get the KP where we can, and that might be the differentiator here.
That's a good point. On the flip side, one team that is certainly showing up, it's Sentinels. Lou, we talked about the effect he has on teams. What's going so great for Sentinels?
I mean, their positioning has been really, really good. They've been putting down damage where they can, but not really fully engaging or putting themselves in bad situations. So as long as we see more of that, then we're going to keep seeing the consistent Sentinel play that we're used to.
Nailed it. And their ability to pick up kill points has also helped them stay in it. Of course, game number 2, they got 8th place, but they picked up 8 kills, and that keeps them well ahead of the competition. 30 points. Sentinels with Lou off to a great start here. The question is, can they stay consistent? We'll see where the ring is going to pull here. We'll be on the south side of the map where Sentinels lands, and Lava Siphon will be another northern ring. We'll find out as we jump on board with Era Eternity, dropping over towards Fragment.
You definitely got to get on board with the team who won last game in such a clean fashion as well, and taking over here, trying to loot out this train station, and, you know, another day in the office for these guys.
Yeah, just jumps right over that 30-30 repeater. He's like, no, thank you. I'm okay. And we'll see.
I feel that in my core. I'm not going to lie. I've been obliterated by a 30-30 too many times to count. The second it's in my hands, I don't know where those bullets go.
Picked up the Hemi instead. Bowser in Fragment. This is the champion team from last game. I said, where's the ring going to pull? Well, it's going to be a great ring for Sentinels. If they did drop Lava Siphon, which I believe they did, a southern ring right by Lava Siphon, right by Tree. This is a great opportunity for Sentinels to continue to extend their lead.
Yep, and right now we are seeing even the next level of ring about to come in, and a lot of these teams on the northern side, they better get moving, because we saw how many teams actually survived, which means that's a whole lot less space to work with if you're playing the edge of the ring.
That's right. If you're Complexity or a fan of Complexity, which, by the way, I got to give a apology. I called my boy Ashes the GM of Complexity. It is rightfully the man himself, Fantasy. Ashes is the assistant GM. I had to clarify. I got some flack. Well-deserved flack on Twitter. Love your Fantasy. Sorry about that, bud. But if you're a fan of Complexity, tough situation, right? It's going to be a tough rotation for them again. But you saw them in game number 1 kind of face that difficult rotation. They still did it well. And sometimes they actually low-key kind of thrive in those tough situations. Probably one of the best teams that are performing when their backs are against the wall and playing edge. So we'll see what they can do. Meanwhile, we haven't seen a whole lot of Ghost Gaming so far. They've been dominating Arenas tournaments because obviously controller squad +6, but I want to see what they can do in BR.
Yep, definitely a completely different ball game. But I'll say Arenas is great for the warm-up. You know, I don't always get to shoot the gun a lot when I drop hot, but at least in Arenas, you're guaranteed to get some warm-up. So, hey, I'm not mad at it.
That's right. Wow, Renegades, we talked about Baxlon. former member of the old Chronologic Gaming roster. Of course, Chronologic Gaming picked up Bird, Vitro, and Nano. We'll see what they can do tomorrow as Group D versus Group A kicks off. And again, if you're just watching, this is Group C and D. We have a Pro League. We have groups now in competitive Apex, which is awesome. 4 groups of 10. Double round robin over 12 weeks. So each team or each group will play each other twice. This is Group C versus Group B. Tomorrow will be Group A and D, or we'll have Team Liquid, TSM, Cloud9, Pittsburgh Knights in their debut, G2, Space Station, XSET, 100 Thieves, CLG. It's going to be awesome tomorrow. But for now, we got Sentinels looking great. Not necessarily this game, though.
I mean, yeah, it looks like Sentinel did lose a player, their Bloodhound. Let's see if they can recover from this. Renegades might be looking to make a heavier push here, but they are catching a couple bullets out from the choke. Let's see what they do.
That's right. We see this ring pulling way south. We'll see where the next one's going to pull, and we do have a moment. But Renegades, for now, great rotation. Likely this ring will continue to pull south, and Renegades finds himself in a really good spot.
I love seeing Octane still around. I'm not going to lie. I feel like the health regen goes a long way, especially towards the later rounds where you start to run low on those meds and those health packs, med kits, syringes, and having the ability to regain some of that life naturally can really come in the clutch, especially if you need to share meds, do stuff like that, and the quicker rotations with the jump pad. We talked about it before, but I think that really is going to help a lot, and not just for rotations, but when you need to jump in on a team that you know is weak and you want to make it quick and dirty, well, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, they are running Octane. We'll see maybe some insights as to why and how they're playing. Let's go ahead and jump into a quick listen in with Renegades.
It's actually huge. I don't have a light mag, but it's better than 40 bullets. Ah, lucky. That sucks.
I'm not gonna poke really.
I'm take that.
Wait, can you poke a little bit? I'm 69 off perp.
Level 2.
Is there anyone to the left?
Yes, in that building. I'm gonna grab this energy.
You can get that as well. Both of you guys if needed.
Oh, is it on mid or is it below mid?
It's on mid. Go on.
And there you have it. Just a nice quick listen in, as we do know Renegades drops tree, and they haven't moved an inch, and they're not going to move an inch, because guess what? They have a ring pulling exactly to where they're at. So Renegades in a good spot here.
Exactly. No need to move, but that does mean they need to put a little bit more priority on leveling up their Evo shields, as we did hear during that listen in. What a big fight breaking out. McNuggy Butt with the Eva shots on Phony. Scissors with the L-Star shots on Amaze. A lot is going down right here. The bubble is still up. And Whoopsie, trying to sneak the high ground here, gets the reload and the crack, but Wraith is out of there. And down goes the team.
That's right. Goodbye and good night for Wiz and Roll of Theory. By the way, hearing you say McNuggy Butt at the heat of a play-by-play was probably the best thing I've heard today.
At least once.
That was awesome. Well done. W gets the better half of that fight, but third party is looming. And that's why you gotta be careful, right? This is the exact spot in the map. You don't necessarily want to take those pure 3v3s always, because you are very prone to third parties. But we'll see if W can stay alive. Meanwhile, Astral Esports, representing Latin America and Mexico, one of our 2 Mexican teams. I got a lot of love for the Mexican Apex community and esports community as a whole, coming from Gears. So see what Astral can do. Excited to see what Astral in their debut.
Yeah, taking this rotation on top of the highway. And, you know, there's something I noticed about NA. They really love going for those shots on any team valking in, which definitely causes a little bit of trouble for all of the Valk teams at some point as they're trying to rotate in. We're kind of starting to see the Valk ults not really being prioritized in the late game unless it's that last-ditch effort in the final ring. And I think that's for the better, to be honest.
That's right. What I've enjoyed seeing is North America, as North America typically does, a lot more Bloodhound in play here than we saw in EMEA. We've seen a lot of Bloodhound team comps. Meanwhile, Monsoon and Co. and Complexity, one of the teams that originated the Bloodhound aggressive team comp, find themselves with the kill over Cambino of Premier. Nice shot from Complexity. They love these edge fights, and they're going to take every opportunity they can.
Let me get your thoughts on Lava Siphon, you know, goodbye Sorting Factory, my favorite place, rest in peace. But, you know, Lava Siphon, it adds so much variety and a lot of space, really, to this area.
It does. I'm right there with you, though. I was a Sorting Factory. I stand with Sorting Factory for life. I know Sentinels used to also feel the same way, but they just said, you know what? It's all good. We'll just take Lava Siphon as well. Same location. We're happy with this drop, but no, I personally did love myself the Sorting Factory fight. It was a really unique fight. I think. Kudos are level designers at Respawn. I really was a fan of that, but obviously a fan of all the changes here in World's Edge as we jump on the board with Sentinels finding a kill on Voltic. That's big. It's on Senior Citizens who are in third place, or Senior Service who are in third place.
Yep, looking strong right now. Lou is gonna pop this Phoenix kit real quick, and Sinook still with the white shield. Not what you want to see, but I'm sure they'll be able to get that changed soon. And right now, Senior Service, they are not in a good position. They are going to Valk out of here as a duo, leaving behind Voltic, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
We talked for a second, though, about No Cocoa Puffs and his career, his trajectory. You know, starts competing in Apex, gets signed by CLG, and what I used to call the Backstreet Boys of Apex Legends, personally. The boy band of Apex. It was Nice Wig, it was Madness, and Noko. Three handsome gentlemen, but no, jokes aside, though, great team, entertaining team, fun team to watch. All the hype in the world. I used to love watching them pop off at on LAN at big tournaments. They obviously all kind of went their own ways, and since then, you know, a tournament win for Nice Wig with Yeet Squad. Madness obviously went on to do great things with CLG, and Noko continually performing and competing, but never giving up. And here we are again, back, grinded to the top of competitive Apex and putting the Pro and Pro Cocoa Puffs. It's been awesome to see his trajectory and his ascent back to the top.
For sure, like nothing but facts right now from Fallout, and that really goes to show that if you're putting in the work and you're on the grind, you can make magic happen. And if that's something you want to do, hey, don't give up on those dreams.
Absolutely. Jumping on board with SXG, one of our teams that won a qualifier. They won the qualifier number 2, which got them here, but right now not looking good for them. Golden, last member alive. It's a 1v1, Stunny versus Golden. This is huge. Era, of course, had a great last game. Going to pick up the KP if they can. Also gives him some shield swap potential. Nice little punch to the face to help his teammate out there. I like to see that, some mobility coming through.
Good first. He is going to hear the res right now and try to push in, but it was a bait, an elaborate hoax the whole time. And there we go. Stunny with the clutch and keeps Era in this game.
Can we get some outplays in the chat, please? Because that right there was Stunny strafing and using the knockdown shield with pristine precision as he gets the win, hitting great shots at the Ava 8. Nice job right there. Stunny. Era stays alive. Bro,
Oh, the Eva, no. Great, back at it again. You gotta love this shotgun.
My heart, NRG, that's my prediction. Not looking good. We got a replay here. Take a look at this. Stunny with the PK. Baits the revive, ends up actually swapping for the Ava 8, because he had an Ava 8 at the end of that, right?
So solid right here. Gets the thirst, then beats down Caustic, or beats down Gibby a little bit further into the room, just for a little added safety to get this bait on the res. Here's the approach up the stairs, and then makes quick work. Ooh, the PK, the wingman, the perfect combination to get the clutch.
And it was, yeah, with the PK. So well done right there from Stunny, clutching up. That's a huge play. And that's what big-time players do. They make big-time plays in big-time moments. Stunny doing exactly that.
Must feel good from Era. They're definitely riding into this match off of the confidence and the momentum from last match. And all of these teams are definitely on notice. The Patience right now, Ghost is just holding down this building, sneaking in the damage with the scout when he can, but everyone's going to be waiting this out. And I also like seeing how these teams try to approach care packages, right? Look at all these teams. They're eyeing it, eye on the prize. It's basically ringing the dinner bell for everyone to take a look. But the coverage from the high ground is going to get whichever team that is up there that care package for free.
That's true. We jump on board with Caustic Traps galore and Torrent. I know you had a chance to break down Torrent's gameplay in our pre-show, but for those that missed it, talk to me about Torrent and their style of play.
You know, from what I've seen out of this team, they really fight from angles and positions that I don't feel are the greatest at times, but they know how to make it work, and they're really comfortable in those positions. Even when it gets as hectic as possible, their comms are pretty calm, cool, and collected the entire time, which is actually shocking. I mentioned it before, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs every time I'm playing this game trying to give comms, but they keep it clean, they keep it cool, and I think that really helps them work out these weird angles and these weird approaches that they like to take. But the execution side of their great ideas is not always perfect, and that's what they really need to work on.
Yep. Meanwhile, we get to see the new World's Edge map on display here. Obviously taking a little architecture from Olympus. But I really, really love this addition to World's Edge. Nice opportunity to sit on top of a bit of a high ground and completely change things up. Whereas a lot of those train tracks and tunnels early on in World's Edge, you're kind of left in no man's land, right? There's not a lot of outplay potential. There's not a lot of variety to that gameplay. This obviously adds a significant difference in the way you can play this side of the map here. Shout out again to the Respawn level designers, always doing great work here, especially on World's Edge.
I mean, they really are on point. Sometimes you think you have the greatest angle, and guess what? There's a perfectly placed tree right there stopping you from getting the angles you want. And that's all very concise and deliberate, level design. And it's really cool to see, especially when you're in the match and you notice it and you're like, wow, I can't believe the presence of mind of this tree being placed here right now.
That's right. Always mind-blowing as we jump on board with the bench warmers. This is a team I was excited to watch. We got Madness, Rambo, and Noct. One of the best, one of the most entertaining pro teams, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Rambo and Madness in particular, their streams. Noct, we all know what he's capable of, former member of Cloud9, who helped ascend that team to being a top 3 team and getting signed to Cloud9. And of course, now we jump on board with Premier. It's going to be just Ronnie left alive on this team.
If Ronnie is even going to attempt any types of banner recoveries, it might just be about placement at this point because we've got a lot of wide open space here and not a lot of opportunities to get somewhere better safely. And with Valk being alone, she's a noisy character. We're going to hear her flying up anywhere and flying out anywhere. So it's going to be a tough one for him. But now we are on the cam of Unlucky, and I feel like the last time we saw Unlucky, they were in a very similar situation on the bottom floor behind some rocks, desperately trying to survive against stray gunfire from every which way. But now that they've been here before, let's see how they react this time.
Yeah, that's right. It's a pattern going on low ground here, but they find themselves in a very difficult position. Let's jump into a listen with Unlucky, see how they play it.
Go get angle on this, please. Dude, they have tabs on us. Everyone does. Here, someone pop this. I'll take so. I have my ult. Yeah.
I'll pop it. Luckily, bridge team can't grief us because the team above us will shoot them. I'm gonna have Valk ult too. Like, if stuff gets really bad, I'm gonna have Valk ult.
I'm safe here.
Where are you? Oh,
just above you. I don't know if 2 people can sit here.
Okay, well, yeah, I can't pick that then. Bridge team is shooting me.
Just shoot this off CDs and then use it as cover. I have enough traps to keep that field. We're good.
At around 15 seconds, we're gonna want to stop shooting traps because we're gonna need them for people forcing their way in.
Yeah, gold helmet. Just start dropping as much as you can. I mean, I'm gonna wait till it fills up first. And yeah, like it's gonna
don't even peek. Don't even peek.
Make sure those are pops. Use it for cover. He has an ang on me? Okay. People are gripping the wrong team, bro. The wrong teams. That's fun. We just have to hold out here. We're fun. There's a boss team. Keep laying down those walls. Use them for cover. He's getting angs on me.
Always good to get insights, right? I mean, the first thing and the best thing I heard there is this team above us on bridge can't grief us because they'll get it. Actually, the team above us can't grief us because they'll get attacked in third party from bridge. So you have to know how to play all angles and kind of be very aware of your surroundings, and it showed right there in that listening with Unlucky.
Definitely. In Apex, especially in these lobbies where we have all these teams alive, the enemy of your enemy is your friend because you can coexist on the lower and upper levels of the same place, and sometimes 2 teams put down shots on the same one, and that is definitely a feels bad moment for the team on the outside, but it's a good strategy for both teams coexisting.
Mexico on display right now. I know you got a lot of pride and a lot of love for these gents. We'll see what they can do right now as we switch on over.
Believe.
Have
faith. W got a duo in the truck. Noble again with a great position. We've seen it time and time again. They're looking pretty comfy here. And a decent amount of damage on the side of Crack right now. But just ultimate is kind of putting a hamper on their situation.
Yeah, last time we saw Noble perform well was in game 1. It was a near Geyser finish, and they do drop Geyser. So here we go again. A very favorable zone for them. They're able to early rotate. Meanwhile, W, former My Little Phony Cinderella squad from the ALGS Championships, did really well in group stages, didn't really perform in ALGS Champs, but nonetheless made themselves a household name in competitive Apex. As we switch back to Noble, Farmer Lucas, Impulse Dreams, and Rakanishu, all 3 alive and in a really good spot. Look at the zone. Great positioning for them.
Yep, zone is closing in, and teams are starting to drop like flies. But we are starting to see use of the Wraith portal here to make sure that Noble is nice and healthy and ready, trying to get this solo rat in the box. That's a success. And that's 1 more KP for Noble.
Impulse, my man with the wingman shots, not missing right there. And that's actually all him. I mean, he scans, heads up play to scan just to clear out that corner, make sure there's not a team there, realizes there's only 1. And you know what? That's an easy 3v1. Let's get the free kill point. We'll take a replay of Kraber in the picture-in-picture. Alright, the calm before the storm here. With 10 squads remaining, make that 9. Vaxlon gets taken out. Renegade's out of this one. And that's going to be the hands of Ghost Metro. Former Division I football player. Played for Maryland before, unfortunately, being in a really, really rough car accident, injured his back, and decided to find an outlet in Apex. Went pro in Apex early on, sort of that original Solo Fide roster. Big shout out to Metro. Got a lot of respect for him. Controller player, great individual player. Nice shots being put in by Fury right now with the Kraber. Can he go big for his squad? He takes out Lou of Sentinels, and he wants smoke right now, looking for an opportunity to maybe finish these kills, but likely he's going to try and get a revive using that pick to get the revive.
He's taking a look at his landscape right now. Does not go for the revive at all. Scissors is just gonna have to sit this one out. Fury trying to stay alive with the Kraber and needs to get his shields up. Interesting little spot that he found there. It might be able to pay off later because it's sneaky enough. But the team on the roof has some major control right now on everyone trying to get into the ring.
Yeah, Fury ended up getting that kill, became the kill leader as a result. So a high kill game for them, but we're going to switch on over to Complexity because they are alive. And what a game. I called it out. Maybe it was foreshadowing earlier. I said it's a tough rotation for Complexity. All the way from the north side of the map. Obviously, Valkyrie helps, but they did it. And they're alive right now with 8 squads left at a pretty good position. We'll see what Complexity can do. Fury is still popping off. On board with Davis here of Senior Service. Last member alive for his team.
Last member alive and looking like the only person on the roof. A moment ago, I thought it might have been a full team by the way the shots were coming out, but it's just Davis up here. And I love this spot for him, actually. He has an EVA 8 in the pocket, so he's going to want to stay on this roof for as long as possible and try not to take any, big trades, because then people might start to figure out that he's alone up there.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier, look at this with Noble. I mentioned earlier that they are in a great position. Well, the ring pulled exactly to them. This is great. The only thing that could be better is if they had Caustic in their team composition, but Noble finds himself in a good spot. We'll see if they can do it with that Bloodhound team comp, though. It's going to be difficult. They do have Gibraltar, and they will have that defensive bombardment in the late game. Meanwhile, Davis is slowly working his way up, trying to last out as many seconds as he can.
Got a team right below him, but fights are breaking out left and right, going for the left side, trying to find a corner to live in. It might work out as long as this fight between Noble and Sinus Please in this truck stays occupied, because he's out there on the right side right now.
That's right. Sync used to play with Rankin Carter, Rogue, and so, and dominated last season in a couple tournaments. Monsoon gets the kill. Sentinels trying to do as much work as possible with that Rampage, a new LMG in the game, and doing everything he can. Gets at least one. It's going to be Crust and Senox, last 2 alive there. 5 squads remain here.
That was such a push right there. All 3 on the jump pad to ascend. Got major KP. And now 1 person left on Noble in the truck. We have Lazarus out here trying to spin the storm and hold on to as much high ground as possible. Major damage and a huge crack on Valk, moving up to the truck. We have the Gibby bubbles out, but they're not going to be there for long. The ultimate's coming down. Can Vizay outlive? He does. He gets the bat off, but goes down immediately.
That's right. And now comes down to this final fight. 3 squads remaining. Lazarus is going to die. Make it 2. It's going to be Sentinels alive, and they're going to be able to clean up here in just a minute. Easy pickings for Sentinels, and they will be your champions, absolutely running through this entire lobby right now. Sentinels is looking next level.
I really love the rings that bring all the squads out to play. There was very little cover, which means a whole lot of action. And who is really gonna bring in those clutch shots when you don't have anything else to rely on but you and your gun?
That's right, and it's Sentinels who's going to do it. I'll tell you what, they did it in game number 1. First place, 8 kills. Game 2, well, slowed down a little bit. 8th place, 8 kills. Continue to roll, though, in game number 3. That's a first place finish. High kills. We'll, of course, get the leaderboards as soon as we can, but that was a big point that I made at the beginning of the show. We talked about, right? Sentinels picks up Lou. Lou elevates every single team he's ever joined. I mean, look at every team in Apex history. Rogue, Complexity, you saw him come through and do it with CLG. Here we go again. History is repeating itself. That is the Lou factor. We coined that, by the way? The Lou factor showing right now with Sentinels.
Do it. Coin it. It's done. It's in the books. But honestly, that 3-man push there at the end during the fight between Noble and the other squad in the truck, that was huge because they scraped up so many points. And that is the difference right now. 12 kills and 12 points on the placement. The double-double here out of Sentinels and showing up big halfway through this series.
All right, with the basketball reference, statistical reference, I like that. We're going to start calling them double-doubles. Usually Kate just screams whenever she sees, double-digit kills, but I like double-doubles instead. 30 points going into this game. Another 24 points. They're almost going to, speaking of doubles, almost going to double their overall score. Sentinels has 54 points overall. We'll see the overall leaderboard soon, but Complexity does a good job getting second place with a 5-kill game. That was a great game for them. They needed it. They're going to be at 24 points, but Sentinels is just running away with this.
Indeed, they are. And Noble down there at 4th. We've been talking time and time again. I feel like every time we see them in the match, we're like, wow, their spot is so great. They are primed to win this match. And then something goes awry. I'm really hoping to see them clutch it out, but Sentinel, look at the squad right here. Looking fresh, looking clean. Love to see Octane up there. And then look at the kills. Look at the damage. This is teamwork in a nutshell. And you'll love to see it.
100%. That's perfect. That's how you want to play it, right? Octane should be your highest damage output player, as you can fly around, do damage, and then immediately dip out, let your Bloodhound come and clean up. It's exactly what's going to happen there. Crust picking up every kill, playing out of his mind. This squad is looking so good right now. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Sentinels, and if they can continue this consistency, if they can keep grinding, practicing, prepping, who knows? They could be the next top dog in competitive Apex.
Yeah, people are gonna be put on notice after today for sure because they're showing up big. And I know I had a lot of talk earlier about the preseason teams being prepared and being ready. The Sentinels, they're killing it.
Yeah, and it's great to see as well because we've always waited for them to kind of meet their peak in terms of expectations, and they're doing exactly that. But so I'm going to bring someone in who's had a chance to watch Sentinels for quite some time. Kate joining us back on the desk live. How you doing, Kate? What are you thinking so far?
Oh man, I am doing great, and I love that you are talking about the Noble mention in this and how they've had that great positioning only to be taken away time and time again. But I want to talk about Complexity for a second, because if we talk about rotations, there is not a team so far in our 3 games that have had sort of a rougher go about it, that have found themselves so in that late game than Complexity again and again. Fallout, I wanted you to tell me a little bit about, as we take a look at these highlights here for our game, where does that put Complexity in terms of consistency, even if they come into that late game with that bad rotation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we'll see here in the replays. This game number 1, it's a geyser ring, which means they are coming all the way from the north side of the map, epicenter and survey. They got to rotate pretty darn far, and you saw it here. Despite all of that adversity, they're able to succeed. So where does that put Complexity, Kate? In my opinion, it's showing that Complexity is back in full form. I mean, if they can be doing and performing this well with these long or kind of almost max distance rings, I think Complexity is making a nice little return to what we expected out of them after their dominance in the first circuit.
Ooh, I love it. Okay, Persia, I got one for you because I think you've done such a great job of talking us through some of these team comps and some of the changes that have been between what we saw in EMEA here and what we see in NA. Talk to me a little bit about Caustic and Valk and how Bloodhound has been making a real difference here in games 1 through 3.
I mean, Bloodhound, always a useful pick. Their abilities, the scan, intel that is invaluable. But Caustic here is really where things start getting interesting. We didn't see as much of it in EMEA, but lots of Caustic here. And those wide open areas that I keep loving so much. definitely become more strenuous to fight in when you have all this gas in play. So that's why Gibby is a mainstay, because regardless of all of these other characters, Gibby's gonna be the one to really keep it all reined in. But then that's where we get to Crypto. But luckily for NA, we don't see too many of him around.
No, we do not. And John, I want to talk to you a little bit about any of these teams that are really surprising you right now. We talk about those Gibby bubbles and the timings that are absolutely precise and have to be to find themselves in the late game. Talk to me about any of these teams that have really shown up that you weren't expecting, or certainly that you're delighted to see come to this late game.
Yeah, delighted to see Sentinels perform as the way we expect them and have always kind of expected them to perform. That's absolutely true. But the one team I think it surprised me a little bit, Era Eternity. I mean, it's their first time playing a Bowser, new roster under the Era Eternity banner, and they showed up really, really well. They performed incredibly well in game number 2, so I'm liking what I'm seeing with this new squad alongside Bowser. Era is looking great, Kate.
Yes, they are. What about you, Persia?
Oh, I'm absolutely going to second that notion, because I've been extremely impressed with the way Era has been fighting, the way they handled the final rings, how composed they were, and regardless of staying composed, the pop-off. You gotta love a team with a good pop-off. I do. I hope you guys do too, because I think we're going to see a lot more of that going into the next 3 games.
I'm just going to cross my fingers right now, but let's take a look at the leaderboards and see where we stand after game number 3 here in our day 1 of the Pro League. Oh, that is a healthy lead, Fallout. That's a oh god, that's a healthy lead.
Look, yeah, good luck catching up to Sentinels the way that they're playing right now with a 20-point lead, make it a 25-point lead over Senior Service. They're playing so well. But one team we haven't talked about enough about, I know I give a lot of credit and kudos to Noko, but consistency. I mean, Noko and Senior Service have consistently placed within the top 5, top 4 in all 3 games. They're looking really good as well. I mean, Persia, who else stands out to you?
Well, you know, we can't even look Sentinel's way at this point because everyone else has a lot of work to do. And honestly, I've said it a few times before, I really enjoy Noble's positioning. I just really need them to clutch it out. So between Era and Noble, I'm keeping a close eye on both of these teams because I think they have a lot of potential to skyrocket up these standings.
Hey, and guys, I just want 1 minute to put a little note on the NRG.
Don't do it, Kate! Don't do it, Kate! I already know.
She had to do it.
I'm sorry. I'm
insult
gonna be the bad
injury,
person.
you know?
I get it. I completely
Salt to the wounds.
Yeah, it's fair, but you can't not mention it. Two of our talent that picked them to win it all. And sure, hey, the one thing we know, Persia, Fallout, the one thing we know is that there's a lot that can happen in games 4, 5, and 6. But boy, does there have to be a lot happening, Fallout, for them to come through and win it all.
Yeah, that's right. And they're gonna have to play an aggressive team comp. If they're, something's not working with their team comp, something's not working. They're landing staging, so it's not like they've gotten bad rings. They're getting fairly favorable rings. We haven't been watching them, so we don't know what's happening. Maybe they're running into a team or getting caught in rotation. Not sure exactly what's going on, but you got to see something different coming out of NRG. This is certainly not what you'd expect from one of the teams with the best lane power in America, in my opinion.
It's the curse of we know that NRG can do it all. So there you go. GG, enjoy, of course, through game number 3. And hey, if you want to keep up with all of the action on our end, head over to our new Twitter account. You see them up there. It's been awesome. This great Twitter account, Play Apex Esports. And guess what? We're also on YouTube, Play Apex Esports, the same title. And if you want to watch us on Twitch, maybe you already are, twitch.tv/playapex. It's all the places you want to be. It's definitely where you're going to be able to follow us in all of the action, see who's up, see who's down, and see everything in between. But for now, we are going to head on over to break. On the other end, we've got game number 4. See you soon.
Welcome back, you handsome bunch, to the ALGS Pro League. North America at the moment is rolling, and it is rolling in one color in particular, and that is the red of Sentinels, Dan. They have looked astonishing so far in our first 3 games. And to be honest with you, as we head towards game 4, I'm struggling to see anyone stopping that kind of momentum.
They've put enough of a gap between them and second place that they can pretty comfortably just play average from this point and probably still win week 1, but if someone else were to suddenly step it up and win like back to back to back, then of course there is the chance they could be tipped over. They don't want to get too far ahead of themselves, but certainly what we've seen so far is Sentinels who are here to play, right? They want to demonstrate that they are the team to beat, that they're the team to chase when it comes to Pro League. And if they can carry on not just like placing themselves well in terms of map positioning, but also the fights they're winning, the fact they're winning 1v1 clutches, they're winning their 3v3s comfortable as well. No one can touch them right now. So if I'm the rest of the lobby, I just want to see Sentinels wiped ASAP.
I want to see 19 squads left, and I want to see 3 Sentinels names in the kill feed being killed. That's the only way it seems to make the lobby happy at the moment, Dan, to be honest with you. But Sentinels just rolling from that momentum of game number 1 where they took home the win. Reptar deciding to, luckily, have the jetpack available there just to get back up to where he should have been. But Complexity been pretty decent so far. Haven't had that big pop-off game that we sometimes see from them. But they have looked pretty consistent. And I think a lot of that actually goes down to the practice schedule that they put in. They've had a real change of heart over the off-season. We know that, last season they weren't a bit averse to scrims. They didn't think it was great practice for them, but this year, completely different. They're playing absolutely everything.
Yeah, they finished in second place in that game, and there was a chance that maybe they could have pushed a little bit further if it wasn't Sentinels they were going up against in the final circle. But certainly, yeah, the consistencies that have been there. In game 1, they struggled a little bit with just placement in general. Game 2, there was a time where they got knocked down to 2 people and they had to rat out a little bit later, but they seem to be doing the right things. They seem to be getting the job done and just doing the nitty-gritty things you need to do sometimes, which is sometimes surviving with just 2 of you, sometimes ratting out as a solo, knowing when to go for the banner, when not to go for the banner. It is all very important that you pick and choose and decide to make those decisions at the appropriate times.
I think one team that's obvious to watch is Sentinels, right? I mean, they've been astonishing so far, like I mentioned, but at the other end of that argument, Dan, is NRG. Where are NRG? Because they haven't turned up so far today. Really struggled in those opening 3 games, and you can't really say that the zones have been too bad for them either. This one's going to be down on the southern side of the map as well. They are going to be traveling over from staging, so they'll be beating a lot of teams to position, but I can't quite put my finger on at the moment what's not quite clicking for them in those first 3 games.
Well, if you guys were watching the EMEA broadcast, you would have learned that I'm from the future and I predict things perfectly. There's a reason why I didn't choose NRG in my predictions. Now, honestly, I'm listening.
I'm listening. Now you got to back it up.
I'm with you, Mark, because usually from what we've seen from NRG, from the history of NRG, and for the way that they usually play, we expect a lot more. But it hasn't been there for them in these games so far. The positioning's been all right. They've been rotating pretty well, but they've been getting caught out here or there. They've maybe been unexpectedly being pushed by other teams, and they haven't really been prepared for that. Perhaps that's just a lack of knowledge from the other teams that are in the lobby, or they are expecting lobbies to play too similarly to scrims, so they're not ready for what's actually been the outcome. There's various different things that could be the reason, but I think ultimately they're just not playing well enough right now, and I think even they would say that they need to step it up going into game 4 here.
We're looking at the NRG lineup here for game 4. It seems that it's swapped back to a more comfortable composition for them, one that's brought them all the success in the past, and that is, of course, the Octane, the Bloodhound, and Gibraltar. So going back to what works is sometimes the smartest thing to do, and that's exactly what NRG have done. Lazarus now moving towards Countdown, moving inside of this building, and they're going to be pretty comfortable for quite a long time. Estral Esports, not so comfortable, as Vaxelon is going to be hitting very, very hard with that scout and getting the first knock of the game, and it looks like over here, the rest of his teammates are trying to move up onto these final 2 players to secure the KP, or at least secure that single one so they can get that on the board.
That's always the downside of just getting caught out and getting absolutely peppered in the backside, is that you have no chance of getting away in a lobby like this when you've got players just hitting their shots and not missing. Vaxelon ensuring that he just dealt the final blow, and quite rightly, Renegades pushing up to try and finish things off. As I say about being finished off, Ghost Gaming will be the first squad to be fully eliminated, and that is at the hands of NRG. So NRG now not being the first team to fall, but look how close they were to doing so. If they'd lost that 3v3, they would have been down at the bottom of the barrel once again, but now perhaps this can be enough to project them into a better momentum that they so desperately need.
sometimes it's just that one fight, right? It's just one fight that goes your way, that you win and you feel confident, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, who's next? We're back on track, we're hitting our shots, and all of a sudden the flow is there, the comms are there, all that kind of stuff that seem to have disappeared from the kind of NRG inventory, if you like, in those first 3 games, does come back. But Noble, who have been playing pretty well today, you have to say they've had some good zones to play as well. Just that execution in the final zones not quite got them that win as yet, but it does look like the zone's going to be moving towards launch site, maybe down on that lower platform. So we'll have to see how these teams do try and approach things. It looks like Noble trying to move in now from the southwestern side, or southeastern side, excuse me, here on World's Edge.
I've certainly been impressed with how Noble... Oh, hello. Thank you very much. I've been impressed with how Noble do position themselves throughout the few games we've seen so far. They have a very good knowledge of kind of zones and where they want to be holding, where they think is one of the priority positions. As you say, just struggled in that final circle. But for the most part, as long as they're finishing top 3, top 4, if they can find that consistency, you're still going to be there or thereabouts when it comes to that final discussion of finishing within the top 3, 4 points at the end of the week and putting yourself in a great spot as the weeks go on here in Pro League. But, you know, a win could come. That's all they need, is that little bit of a clutch factor. That's really what has let them down. So I'm expecting them to progress well as the Pro League goes on. They've certainly shown signs that have really impressed me so far.
Torrent in a little bit of a sticky spot here as well. Arcane having to burn the bubble, and they're going to have to retreat now to this trailer just outside of Lava Siphon as they try and make their rotation. And rotation is something that they've struggled with so far today, Torrent. We've seen them numerous times be caught. The last game, they kind of had a little bit more success getting towards that end zone, but it just seems to be something missing a little bit. Maybe the routes they're taking are just a little bit obvious, a little bit clear, and not really going from point A to point B with enough cover. Again, another thing we'd have to watch a little bit more of just to kind of come up with a full answer for it, but really struggling. First game, Valkyrie, really going wrong for them, just kind of throwing things away completely. Second game, again, caught in that rotation. Third game, seemed to get things together. We'll have to see if they can really put together a run here in game 4.
Certainly judging by social media and the response from Arcane himself, that he said they got really unlucky in game 2, for example. It was just an unfortunate way to go down. And sometimes that is the way the cookie can crumble. In a lobby this tightly contested, in a lobby where everyone is rotating this at the same time, when you've got 20 squads still left in zone 4, zone 5 type thing, then you are sometimes just going to get unlucky with the way that the zone pulls, or unlucky with 2 teams accidentally collapsing on the side of you. It's about picking yourself up and keeping the mental strong, so that then you move on to the next game and you suddenly find a victory, and you suddenly make sure you are actually going to be a team that people fear and not a team that people are just going to step over when it comes to the rotation. With round 1 closing though, we have seen a few players drop here or there, and of course one team has gone out already. But one of the teams who is looking to try and take an engagement here is Era Eternity, another surprise team for me so far here in NA Pro League.
Good performance from them in that game number 2, taking home that win, and you can see they're just trying to finish off these last 2 players, the duo under the bridge, but just can't overextend because it's going to be Torrent who's in that truck still to their left. So playing this one very smartly. There's the knock though onto Tempest, and once again the Rampage is a weapon we're seeing become more and more viable, to be honest with you. Teams are starting to work it out. Albrelelli, you know, he's an absolutely massive fan of it, especially when you can shove a thermite up it and really get that thing going. But you can see the effectiveness it has, just kind of suppressing players from distance, and it harasses you.
It is a weapon that in the right hands is very scary and very deadly indeed. There's an overview of the circle and the lay of the land. A lot of teams setting up in Lava Siphon, teams just to the west of Lava City in that vault area, as well as launch site being a focus point for many of these teams. But it could be a circle that finishes in between all of those in some open area, which is quite difficult to play. But teams with Gibraltar, of course, are going to be certainly benefited if it does move that way, but it could shift to either of those POIs. That's why we're seeing teams kind of spread themselves out here, hoping they get that guess right, but we'll get more of an indication when the next beacon is scanned.
We were discussing before things kicked off today about some of the zones that finish around Lava Siphon and how they do seem to pull towards the southern side of it. Not very often they finish up and around the buildings. It's more in this open, rocky kind of geometry that does find itself being occupied by Era Eternity and the likes of Torrent. Unlucky though, in a little bit of a difficult spot here, as Osenpide's going to have to get that bubble down just so he can scarper away and get Gibraltar's body up that hill and back to his teammates and into a little bit more high ground. They'll have control of these snake buildings on the outside. Pretty good place to hold up for now for them as they get from the low ground back up to high. So they're going to be pretty comfortable as they can plan their next move.
Is it Oh Senpai or is it Oi Senpai?
I think it depends if you're, it's North America. If it was Europe, it'd be Oi Senpai. You know what I mean? But yeah, I get that.
So the Valkyrie is available for them if they want to use it, but at the moment their position isn't particularly bad here, Unlucky. They can kind of watch on and see everyone rotating in. They can gatekeep those. They have been scanned, so they know full well there is a Bloodhound team in or around the area, but it's just about where they're going to get pushed from if they're going to get pushed here. They certainly have the ability to defend themselves quite well with the Caustic, and you know the Charge Rifle, just doing Charge Rifle things.
Ow!
Is he ever going to miss? I don't think so.
You know what? It just reminds me of having sunburn when I see people getting melted by this thing. I've been there. I'm a fair-skinned man. I know how it feels when you're out in the sun for more than 20 minutes. It's horrible, and that's exactly how the people are going to be feeling on the receiving end of this Charge Rifle. But no knock. Just the shields being broken, but charging up those Evo shields all the same. So vital. And something that, if you're playing a lot of competitive Apex, you'll understand how vital that is, that damage, especially when you get towards that endgame.
Well, just like on set applying suntan lotion, the team's just applying shield bats
generously
as quick as possible.
Layers of the stuff.
Cells being popped faster than Mark puts it on top of his head as NRG now will be diving in because they've managed to get a knock here. Sweet getting the initial damage. And do they actually push on this one? They're very tempted to, but you don't need to. You can do damage right from across here. Now you rope over if you actually manage to successfully get onto the rope anyway. They do have to fall, they have to dip down, but they still want to take this fight.
Yeah, Sweet's going to get the finish on one, though, so they will be moving across. However, by making that move down to the low ground, you can see that Rocket's had to burn the bubble now. A Phoenix kit going to be popped by both Sweet and Rocket to make sure they're full HP. Nathan's going to be using this time to pop an ultimate accelerant as well, but that's going to give a tiny little line of sight to someone. And with 19 squads around, you know, there's going to be multiple people trying to focus here on NRG.
The difficulty is for NRG as well, when you are literally bottom. Oh, he's been able to get some good shields. At least that's all right. I thought he was going to be down without any hope whatsoever. When you are NRG and you're bottom of the lobby, you haven't been able to find anything in the first 3 games. You're in game 4, and suddenly you're caught with your pants down a little bit in no man's land. You start to think, oh god, it's going to be another one of those games. Confidence is going to be really lacking in this squad. They need something to give them that push. They won that initial gunfight, yes, but now look at their positioning. They're rotating late here. They very much could be running into 2, if not 3 teams as they approach this circle.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough rotation for them. Let's jump into a listening now with NRG and see how the comms are and what that next move might be.
Good job, by the way. I shredded that kid on the fucking zip.
Yeah, sounding like 100.
All right, we need to look for that duo. All right, this team's here. We can walk in here.
I'm making sure.
Could be below.
I have no bats if you guys have any.
I have 2. Here, okay. All right, we can play for a tunnel too here. Who's longbowing and where from? Who is shooting that longbow right now?
19 squads, by the way.
Oh, they're on this ramp right here. Yo. We might be able to walk up on this.
I mean, we're gonna shot by the whole server.
Yeah, okay. Listen, we're gonna jump down and peek them from the 2nd story of this fucking bridge, and we're gonna pad back up if it's bad, okay? Yeah. They're all just sitting on this bridge, not looking our way at all. It's no-coing them. Jump down now. Get to the peak of the bridge and shoot these kids in the back. Focus to Gibby, okay?
3, 2, 1. Call it.
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah,
all right, Gibby's shooting right now. That scout, ready? Gibby on the left. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. 1 HP. Nice. I'm walking up on this. He isn't rezzing. Just wait. He caustic ulted right on top of me. I'm out of it.
I'm good.
Valk low ground right here.
They're running. 40 on the fucking caustic. Get the full kill.
Valk's on me.
No, he flew away.
I got the full kill. Just play slow now. This team to our fucking north might be walking up to 3rd. They are there. Come to me.
I'm here.
They're not here close, but they're on the roof still. Here.
Valk got away.
It's fine. We have 2 duos somewhere near us, though. We need to remember that. Abuse Bloodhound on them and wipe them.
They're in like the field to our left, in the zone somewhere.
We need to hold this team and then walk in. I'm with you, Nate.
I'm just grabbing the old tick cell.
Okay, I have 1 bat, 8 cells. Yeah, we're gonna walk in along this field.
On the left side?
Yes. Well, kind of just wherever we can find. Yeah, I think fucking
And that is a perfect example of top-tier communication, Dan. You heard the calls coming in from Sweet. Teammates didn't even question it. They 3-2-1 the Gibby in the back. They create an opportunity for themselves. They turn a 3v3 into a 2v3, and they take the spot away.
It's how he turned just an audio cue of Who's firing that longbow? Where is that longbow to? Suddenly realizing where that team was, where that team is looking. Does that team know where they are? No, they don't. Let's make sure we drop down here so then we can get a clear visual, get the knock, and then we can take the position off them. So not only did they plan a rotation, not only did they get some KP, but also they were able to gain so much information as to where other teams were. It was just executed really nicely from them. Very simple, but great to have that insight and great to hear that communication from them. But now it's about where they go from here. They need to find themselves within the circle, but also with cover so that they're not targeted by the majority of the lobby. Because we've got 17 squads left, and you'd imagine that probably about 10 of them are already pretty much central zone right now, and they're going to be looking out.
Tell you what, NRG are in a pretty good spot right now. They've got control. Yes, they're on the low ground, and they will have to find a way to go up. But Hero Eternity are the team who are above them. They've got opportunities to pick up KP in front of them. However, that team just Valcoing in late might have just slowed things down and made this a little bit more difficult here for NRG, as all these teams now going to have to rotate out from Lava Siphon down onto this dusty land, which is just outside of launch site. This is going to be the lobby getting cut down very, very quickly from 16 squads.
A team Valking in and making things difficult for everyone else in the lobby. Who'd have thought it? It seems to be happening a lot here, but that one team is certainly shredded now. Bowser going huge with a Rampage, does have Eva 8 in the back pocket, needs to be careful though, has to back off and requires support from the rest of the team. Torrent have been taken down elsewhere. I think they finished in 16th spot, so they don't get the one placement point for top 15, but certainly things starting to heat up in this lobby now.
And who was that took down Torrent? It was NRG. NRG picking up yet more KP and more momentum in this game number 4, exactly what was needed. And what the doctor ordered. Xenox is going to be doing work for Sentinels once again. He takes down McNuggy, but I had to point that out. I've always wanted to say that sentence. And Sentinels now make their move. They're padding up to the high ground as well. It looks like they're going to try and overlook what their next move is going to be.
It is true. 6 years ago, me and Mark were casting together. He said, hey, Dan, one day I really want to say McNuggy bar.
One dream.
And I said, I will join you. So I've said it as well. But Sentinels now laying down the fire from above here. And they could really be a thorn in the side of so many of these teams because they're going to be oozing confidence. They're going to be playing with no fear whatsoever, just wanting to destroy the rest of the lobby because they are on an absolute tear, but Xenox has to be careful.
Xenox has to be careful, but here comes a push now, and it's down to Tech Candy, the last player alive. The Sentinels are going to move in as well, and that's going to be Lou cleaning up the damage done with that Peacekeeper. And once again, Sentinels just don't seem to be missing shots. Even though they've got a tough move to make in 10 seconds or so, it looks like they've recognized that. And they're thinking about wiping the lobby in front of them, picking up as many KP as possible.
Complexity fall in 13th spot. Era Eternity have lost 2, if not 3 by this point as well. So NRG and the likes of Sentinels have really just been running through teams down in this area and making it very awkward for them indeed. Down to just 12 squads now. But look at the amount of KP that is there on the NRG side. Just looking at one player, I mean, there's already 8 KP, probably more. I would imagine around 10. So if they can push their way into the top 5 here, they could very much get themselves not just off the bottom of the leaderboard, but to the top half of the leaderboard as they pick up even more KP here.
Sweet Dreams tucks someone in and says goodnight. Now he's going to be moving up to that bubble. Another player just lacking behind in the zone. All sorts of damage going down. Sweet going down. NRG going down. As 9 squads find themselves left in this lobby. Sentinels have managed to rotate through. However, Lou's got a player in front of him. However, he's got a Peacekeeper to work with as well. And Lou will clear the way for Sentinels.
Sentinels just keep rolling. Nothing seems to be able to stop this Sentinels train. NRG went down in 10th, but they went down with a bang. Plenty of KP. That's the points they needed. Lazarus, another team I've been very impressed by throughout every single game. Their positioning, their rotations, they've been spot on, and they're consistently finding themselves in the end game here. They do have a little bit of movement to get across, but they're shooting onto Sentinels at the moment. Sentinels are really struggling to stay alive now. Surely the dream is over. There's not going to be back-to-back wins here as Xenox, the last remaining player.
Top 6 though, already top 6. And it might become something even better as well. If Xenox can stay alive and let the other teams do the work. It's in a difficult spot though. You can see that Benchwarmers are trying to focus on them, and Benchwarmers are a team who came through the qualification and really had to work hard to do so. A win for them here would fill them with confidence as well. We've got members of tournament-winning teams previously making up this lineup as well. We have 24 seconds left now until these 6 teams are going to be forced together once more.
I mean, Benchwarmers, it's kind of the perfect name for them, isn't it? Because they're kind of three players who are mismatched, who have maybe been mistreated by other teams, maybe could have been on even better teams and stayed there, but instead find themselves all teaming together, and I think they could be a real force to be reckoned with. As you say, during playoffs, they were very impressive, managed to get their way here to qualify, and now they're within the top 6, and they've got a full complement of health, and they are close enough to the circle here that this could be a top 5, if not more, if they play this one correctly.
Bubble going to go down from knocked, and there's going to be a skyward dive here. This is a risky play for them, but they're going to have to make it work. Keep an eye on Madness's HP in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. He's the player who is controlling where this dive will land, and it doesn't look like there's much real estate to play with, to be honest with you, Dan. It's going to be a tough landing here. It might be a little bit of a rough landing, as Noct will fall, Madness will fall, and Rambo finds himself on a solo mission.
Oh, that was more than just turbulence there. That was very much a crash landing. Noble were on the other side. They managed to take down 2. The last remaining player doesn't really have a hope in hell of staying alive, but if the bubble can come up, actually no, it's not the Gibbon that's alive, never mind. Noble should be able to finish things off now after they get rid of the shields, but Xenox is going to be joining things and making sure that Noble are not going to be able to easily stop doing this. What are you doing right now?
Oh my
Does eventually go down, but boy does he make this a scary lobby.
Xenox versus the world, we've just seen, and he almost managed to completely wipe a team off the face of World's Edge with that Kraber in his hands. I don't know how the man does it, but he's playing some nutty Apex Legends as well as his teammates. They do fall, as now we find ourselves with 4 squads remaining. Make that 3, as Legacy MX, one of the Mexican lineup, are still involved in these final moments.
And somehow one member of Benchwarmers was still alive as well. Benchwarmers still very much in this, but now Legacy are going to take down those 2 remaining players. 2 squads left. Legacy just need to make sure they get the shield swap and make sure they reset here.
Pretty sure they've got this one in the bag as well. I'm pretty sure it's just a lone player alive. We'll have to check over and see if there is anyone still alive. It's going to be a full lineup. Renegades are still here. I thought I saw a player go down from Renegades. I don't know if there's a Reds come in or if it's something that I just missed, but it's a straight 3v3. It's a shootout.
High ground over on the side of Legacy, though. Renegades are going to have to move into the high ground, and actually they say we're going to jump onto the high ground.
Standoff between the 2 teams. Good old-fashioned shootout, like a Western, is what we're going to see between the 2 teams. Now, Legacy up on top. Renegades down on the low ground. And it looks like, in the way this zone is moving at the moment, it might be Legacy who are forced to drop first. They also have the option of defensive bombardment. Renegades to try and force them down, although the bubble will counteract that. So, it'll be very interesting to see how this one plays out. Do Legacy have grenades to play with? Can they get that initial damage to make that drop a little bit easier?
There is a little bit of utility to play with, a few grenades here or there. They've got plenty of meds as well. Legacy certainly have the high ground and the best position right now. On the other side for Renegades, they have to play this one perfectly. They really need to be patient. They need to try and deal a little bit of damage as the other team drops. And if they can do damage as Legacy falls or just isolate one of the players, they can turn this into a 3v2 very quickly. Remember, bubbles on both sides means that this could just be a bubble off when both teams drop.
I think this might be the caustic ult that's going to make the difference, or maybe it's just going to be a thermite starting to tick away at the shields here of Pow Pow, having to pop some shield cells, just trying to keep a line of sight as well, as Joe Max is going to take a lot of damage. Tick damage coming in as well. You can see the thermite is doing all of the work here. The bubble being forced as well. Legacy now make their moves, but they lose the first player in this fight. Renegades are going to look good, but not as good as Legacy. They managed to clutch things up, and I tell you what, Mexican lineup are going to be feeling extremely proud of themselves right now.
Usually I'd say it's inevitable at that point when you have that high ground, when you have that positioning over another team, but how many times have we seen a position like that thrown away or not played correctly? But they used their utility, they forced out that bubble, and as soon as the bubble was there and they realized they made a couple of players weak, that's when they dropped. They timed it to perfection. Yes, they lost one, but it didn't matter because they focused the players correctly as well. Always need to make sure you're following your IGL, you're all shooting the same thing, take down one target, and then just go on to the next.
So patience, we always talk about it, right? You get a little bit of damage, you get a little bit antsy, you're like, oh, should we drop now? Let's drop now. One player drops by accident, and all of a sudden, everything's in a shambles. But they did a really good job, like you say, in making sure they were composed in the situation and took advantage of everything that they had in their favor. But EGL, by the way, if you're watching, you know, who's in the back, who's on the replays right now, because we need to watch that Xenox clip. If you managed to catch it, I want to watch it.
Yeah.
I think it's only right. I think it's only fair, okay, that we try and have a little look back.
Because
That's ridiculous.
If you're on the side of Benchwarmers, right, you've just valked up into the air, there were 6 squads left, 2 of you got taken down, and you're probably not getting top 5. And suddenly Xenox goes, yeet! And he manages to just kill 2 people, distract the entire lobby. Somehow Benchwarmers finished top 3 because of it, almost top 2 at one point. And they're going to be thanking Sentinels, and they're saying, hey, Xenox, thank you so much for giving us a few more placement points, buddy.
NRG having a very good game as well, but here it is. Xenox goes, yo, what up, boys? What up, Rack? Anyone else want some? Boom! 145 to Impulse.
Oh, just imagine.
Should we call it a choke? Xenox choked. Can't believe he choked that 3-piece.
Such an easy triple. Why did he?
Easy 3-piece.
Easiest wipe of his life.
Disappointed from you, Xenox. Expect more. That was nuts. That was obviously nuts. These are the Game 4 results, though. Legacy MX on top of the pile, though. 20 points to them, Dan. Renegades in behind, a much, much better game from them. Benchwarmers, Noble, and Lazarus make up the top 5. Sentinels in 4th place. I thought they had a few more kills to their name, to be honest with you, but just the 4 for them.
Yeah, they didn't manage to get the finishes, which was a bit of a shame, but they got the knocks and unfortunately then got wiped. For Benchwarmers, again, they're going to be thanking Sentinels for the, 3 extra placement points, 4 extra placement points they were able to achieve because of Xenox doing Xenox things. Era Eternity, not having the placement that we've seen, but they did still pick up 6 kills, so they still get a decent amount of points and will find themselves finishing around 5th from that lobby when you include both placement and kills. However, Renegades, I was really impressed that they were able to get to top 2, but again, it's another one. NRG, I want to see how many kills they were able to achieve, because even though they didn't finish in the top 10, they still were slaying out at one point. They still would have put points on the board, and they should be jumping off of that bottom position.
Yeah, slightly surprising to me not to see NRG in that top 10, but obviously didn't quite get the points that we expected from them, and they're going to have to go to work once more. But these 3 gentlemen are going to be very, very happy with what they've managed to achieve. You look at the damage on Jaguars there, 1120, big damage from him, 4 kills to the Caustic as well. And as I say, they're going to be extremely proud of that win, and that's going to really catapult them up the table as well.
Yeah, and I think it very easily could have gone wrong for them in that final circle. Especially with the way Renegades were playing it as well. You saw the hesitancy for that bubble to go out, just holding the bubble back, being patient on the side of Pow Pow, and ensuring that they don't put the bubble up too early, because then they would have left themselves vulnerable later to a potential Gibby bombardment. Everything was played well by Renegades, but Legacy, by holding out, by staying strong, by being patient and not biting, they made sure they won the 3v3 in the end.
It makes the last 2 games very, very interesting. I'm sure we're going to see the leaderboards now to give you an indication of how interesting they are going to be. Ignore Sentinels at your peril, because there's 61 points on the board, and to be honest with you, it'll be something of a surprise to not see them take home first place with the way that all 3 players have stepped up at different moments during the 4 games we've seen so far. Era Eternity in second, moving up a couple of places after picking up some points in that game. But looking across there, and you look at the jump up for Legacy, up 10 places into 7th. That is huge from them.
Also, NRG jumping up 8 places into 12th. They weren't even on that top 10 leaderboard, but the amount of kills they were able to pick up really has projected them up this leaderboard now to put them within a chance of picking up an okay amount of points in week 1 here in the Pro League. They're not going to win week 1. We can say that now. Even with 2 big games here, the likelihood is Sentinels get enough to still be the victors, or at least be above the likes of NRG. But NRG at least give themselves a chance now to get into maybe top 8, top 5 potentially if they had some big games here. So at least they've given themselves that opportunity.
Well, 2 more games to come for everybody watching at home. It's time for us to jump into a break, but don't worry, those games are coming up just around the corner. We'll see you in just a few.
¿Estamos bien?
Sí, estamos bien. Hasta último anillo.
Nos van a ultear, vamos a tirar nuestra pool.
Vamos. Nos estoy quemando a 2.
¿Los ulteo?
Tengo granadas.
Granadero. Voy a ultear para usar bubble.
Va.
Estoy bien, lo estoy dando, aguantame.
Estoy quemando otro otra vez.
Ya. ¡No recibe! ¡Ya! ¡Vamos! No, güey, me hicieron mierda. ¡Buena, puta madre! ¡Qué buena! ¡Buena, cabrón!
what a kickoff day it has been for the North American Pro League of the Apex Legends Global Series as we are live and back in our brand spanking new dropship for the broadcast here. Fallout joined alongside Persia, and we are 4 games in, 2 to go, Persia. Quite a few storylines here.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm just going to hop into it. Let's go, Legacy MX. That's what we want to see. The smart plays. They held the high ground. They used the gas, just as I was talking about before, that when these rings come down to a more open area, that gas is really going to come into play. And they didn't even drop down until they confirmed that they got the crack on the team below and then jumped in. And that definitely is going to secure you a win when you play like that.
Absolutely. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if they need any more gas, given you're giving them all the gas in the world. I know you're on top of the world right now.
There's more where that came from.
That's true.
Fallout,
That's
right?
true. Your boys from Mexico going huge Legacy wins in game number 4. But let's take a look at the standings and see what that did for them, right? Legacy wasn't necessarily up there in terms of overall standings. They jumped 10 spots to 7th. Putting them in a prime opportunity to be right next to the like of Sentinels, above NRG, above Ghost Gaming, above Complexity. I mean, that would be an insane turn of events if Legacy can have a big game 5 and game 6, but it's not just them. Other storylines here as well to keep an eye on. NRG from 20th place, dead last to 12th with a pop-off 15-point game. That was at least 10, 11, or 12 kills. Do you think NRG can do it again in game 5?
Oh, absolutely. Especially since they're hopping around the character select screen here because what was going on before in those first few games was not working out. But the adjustments, switching it up, going with what you're comfortable with is always a great choice, and it's working out. And now that we kind of reached the halfway point of our matches here, teams are starting to realize how much more emphasis they need to put on those kills, just like we saw during EMEA. So it's very blatant decision making here from NRG that is definitely going to make them even more dangerous going into the next few games.
That's exactly right. We called them out. We said we wanted to see them change something up. They go from Wraith to Octane. A lot more aggressive, and it was fun to watch them that last game. So we'll keep a close eye on them. Something tells me they're going to continue right where they left off here in game number 5. We'll see if that is the case. Meanwhile, another key storyline, Era Eternity and Noble, both performing very, very well. And of course, the largest storyline of them all, Sentinels with Lou.
That play that Synox went for with the Kraber in that last match, obviously huge, just literally pixels away from hands down being the play of the game. Almost got a full squad wipe with that Kraber, but we're just gonna have to think about Apex's what if in an alternate timeline of that actually happening.
Yeah, I'm sure every single person watching right now, I'm sure you've been there, Persia. There's that moment where you were just locked in, especially playing in competitive games. And Sentinels is locked in right now. They're not missing shots. I mean, yeah, that play by Snatch was insane, but what Lou was doing with the PK, flying across the map, taking 1v1s, 1v2s by himself, his team's trusting him. They're just next level right now. And again, if Sentinels can keep this level of high play at a consistent pace, I think they're right there next to teams like TSM and many, many others at G2 and is a top fragging, top slaying team here, which is great to see because we've always been waiting for Sentinels to reach their peak to kind of live up to their expectations.
Yeah, definitely. And you touched on a great point. Trusting your team. You need to have that trust and you need to know everyone's role and have trust in their role. Having your fragger step out a little bit, step away from the team a little bit just to sneak some damage, maybe sneak some KP. You need to have that trust that they're going to come back when they need to. That's where I see a lot of teams still trying to come to terms with, getting on the same page with the IGL. But the teams that have it on lock are the ones that are really excelling right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Renegades coming in trio. Look at the rotation they're going to have to make. Obviously, no Valkyrie on their team either, right? So Renegade's going to be in a position where they are going to play Edge. And, that's obviously an interesting situation because they're doing fairly well in the overall standings. But Edge gives them a chance to get some kills here. We can see them do exactly what we saw for NRG last game, running the same comp. Octane, Bloodhound, Gibraltar. Well, that spells high kill points. We'll see if they decide to play aggressive.
I hope so, because I love seeing people go for the KP in times like this, especially when we're getting closer and closer to the end of the series. Every single point is going to count, and we actually saw how much that made a difference in just one game when you take a look at teams like NRG and Legacy MX, who jumped up 8 and 10 places in one game.
And I got to tell you, I love what our observers are doing right now because they're just teeing up what I think could be very interesting in a potential fight between NRG and Renegades. Obviously, not a guarantee as they're both going to be rotating from the southwest side of the map, but they could map up or line up at some point. But nonetheless, we're teeing up some foreshadowing for, I think, these two teams to go big, to play highly aggressive. I think Energy just realizes, hey, we have nothing to lose. We need to play aggressive. So you'll see them continue to do that. You'll see Energy take any fights they can.
Something interesting that we ran into last game is that we mentioned how the late game Valk ults are becoming less and less useful, and I think that is really making an impact on this lobby, because I think a few teams now are opting to go back to the tried and true and not really stick with the Valk. I know NRG was one of them, but hopping around the teams here, we're seeing a lot of teams kind of not really going for the Valk. And then take a look at Torrent here. Reese is donezo. Valk is out of here. And that's not what you want to see for this team who's been trying to climb their way up this leaderboard.
Yeah, that's right. Torrent hasn't had the best showing, unfortunately. We'll see if they can, do make something out of nothing here. Losing Reese is obviously difficult. I mean, he's such a key player, such a foundation of this squad. So we'll see if Hill and Arcan can do it here against Complexity, though. An aggressive Complexity squad. It's going to be tough to do. We saw Complexity get taken out early last game, so they're definitely looking to have a high kill game here.
For sure. And when you are Complexity, you already know what time it is when you run into Tor. And it makes perfect sense that they targeted Reese and made sure to get the thirst. But they did pick up the beacon, and Hill is already out of there, already looking at the next plan, because they do not want to take this heads-up fight with Complexity.
Yeah, that's right. Complexity dropping survey count and dropping over an epicenter and rotated to fight Torrent, who drops Skyhook East. That's how fast they loot. That's how fast they rotate. One of the fastest playing teams. You see it here. It's one of my favorite things to do is jump into listen-ins with Complexity. If we have a chance to, not to call out the Observer production team here, but maybe a listen to Complexity this game would be awesome to hear, because they find themselves a team nearby. It sounds like we might just have one ready in a moment. We'll keep you all updated. Actually, I take it back. We got to listen in ready. Let's go ahead and jump in live with a listen in to Complexity.
I got 3-4. I'm coming.
Heard.
I have 16 still, no bat.
Do you have a heavy mag that you got there?
Or I can give you a here. Take.
I gotta stay here. For now.
Oh, good. I got it.
All right. I only have 147 heavy as well. I might just be playing for anything.
I have 211. Okay. You grab the mag, one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the mag.
Might need you to bubble.
I'm looking at him.
I'm good.
Okay, I need to go back. I need to go back up for this loot. They're pretty wide swung. Not that. I was talking about here. Okay.
Who's that, Chinny?
Okay.
Okay. Looking good. You have bubble?
Yeah, I do.
Speaking.
These guys are like on our north though. Be careful of that.
Close?
No. Yeah, they like swung out to the body. I saw a Jibby go there.
Heard. Alright, I'm only on 130
white,
right so I'm hard chilling. Here's a bat too. Dropped one. I'm 1-8 now. Maybe we'll wait on zone.
Yeah.
They just stole that motherfucker.
Oh shit!
No.
What was near?
Loba things right there. We just saw it. They threw down the bat to pass it to the team, making sure everyone's good on meds. Just kidding. Loba's here to ruin your day. She's out there stealing loot every chance she gets, and batteries are valuable commodities in this game. You need to pick those up quick if you're sharing them with your team.
That was hilarious. You ever drop a battery for your teammate and get it stolen by a black market? That's fantastic. I'm so glad we got to capture that. But other than that, pretty slow listening for Complexity standards, because they found themselves probably the best spot in the game right now, are very well positioned. Depending where the ring pulls, we'll see if that ends up being a good choice for them. Meanwhile, we talked about NRG's aggression. They already took out a team that's also known for aggression and fast-paced play. It's Ghost Gaming. Nice shot from NRG.
Yeah, that's a great start for them, actually, because we did see Ghost Gaming kind of upset a few other teams earlier in the day, and now I'm pretty sure Sweet is just angry and is out for blood at this point, completely tired of seeing his team that low on the leaderboard, and you can see it in the plays right now, constantly moving forward ahead of his team on the rotate, as Octanes do. And, I'm honestly excited to see this side of them.
Yeah, that's right. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's an angry Sweet, a disappointed Sweet, and it's a Sweet that just says, hey, we have nothing to lose. Screw it. Let's fly, my friends. And when you got Nathan, when you got Rocker on this team alongside Sweet, who doesn't necessarily get the right level of recognition for being just as much of a fragger as those two, while also IGLing, it's actually insane. I think it's a dangerous thing for everyone else in the lobby. As you see a quick overhead peek of Fragment East here and Fragment in general. It looks like there's a full-blown Fragment rotation nearby, but let's go ahead and jump into listen with NRG. It looks like they're in a fight.
Yeah, this is the replay here of their face-off against Ghost
Oh, it is.
Gaming.
Okay, good call.
Some major hip-fire shots coming out with the longbow, and they made quick work. And the aggression, again, talking about the aggression here, getting those KP, and making sure they're one step closer to not being at the bottom of the...
Thank you for the correction, my friend. I missed it. It was a replay. So good call there. Nice job. We get to catch that action. Good job to our observers. Not missing a single fight as we saw NRG take out Ghost there. And we'll keep an eye on the kill feed as they probably are going to want more. But right now it's Astral Esports finding themselves a good place to post up in Fragment and predicting the zone to continue to pull this area. But I think it's just going to continue to pull north. We'll see if that's the case, though. They might have to rotate here in about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, nice change of pace on the ring here. We had a lot of rings like in the southwest, in the east, but now we're heading north this time around.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. A lot of south rings across EMEA and North America. That's for sure. But this is the ring that Complexity wants. Well, on paper, it's the ring Complexity wants, but that's the reality is Complexity sometimes does like the south rings because they do like to play edge and they like to rotate and take fights. So it's always interesting seeing how they play and seeing how Complexity kind of fares in these rings. But for Sentinels, for NRG, well, it's pretty far rotation. You see them continuing to play edge here. Let's see what Sentinels is going to do.
Yeah, they're looking very healthy right now. 2 gold shields to work with. You know, not much gunfire or fights nearby even. They're just kind of rotating and looking clean. But now we have a fight. NRG back at it again with the aggression. But this is not a solo fight they're taking on now. There are quite a few teams in this building. And they're out for blood. We have the ult activated, the scans are up, so they know they're not alone, and that's why we're seeing them not quite go in 100%, but just being a nuisance and letting their presence be known.
That's right. So many teams nearby, and in about a minute, they're going to have to rotate as well. So this is the perfect opportunity to jump in and listen in and see what the comms are like with NRG.
He's right above me. Peeking the stairs.
Cannon 1.
89 crack, blue armor.
I'm going third.
I'm going up 1.
Yep, go up next. Okay, I'm gonna throw a vert.
I have give you on 10%. Give you on 10%.
Yeah. Good arcs up there.
I'm gonna try to stick one.
Scan at 5.
Give you on 5%, okay?
Yep.
I'm gonna wait for your give you on then scan.
One's right above me. Eva.
Okay, I'm give ulting now.
Hit bubble him. Nice. Okay, we'll have our bubble on the stairs. Okay. We need to bubble out wide and turn around and shoot, okay? Just bubble up the stairs. Right now.
Bubbling out wide.
Bubble. Yep. Turn and shoot.
He's pulling.
Crack, slow down. He's on your side.
Give me crack.
He's eco challenging you. I'm holding the end of the portal so he doesn't come back.
No bubble. Look at zone. Zone's moving in.
We're fine. Only round two. We're fine.
Okay.
Jump. Okay, let's go.
Persia, that might just be pound for pound the best listening we've ever had in ALGS.
Seriously, everything worked out so well. They stayed so calm. And honestly, from senior service right there, you gotta know when NRG is under you that they're scheming on something. And we saw the Wraith portal. They wanted to get out of Dodge, even though they did have a high ground position right there. They knew they had to get out of there, but they couldn't. NRG on the chase. And that really is the difference between using Wraith portal to rotate and using something like an Octane jump pad to rotate. You don't have to wait for Wraith to drop it first.
You know, I just want to point out a few things right there that was perfect for a variety of reasons. One, their ability to recognize, hey, utility. We have a Gibby ult coming soon. Let's not push this play. It's slow. Let's use that Gibby ult. Two, the quick play and the decision to bubble wide, save their bubble, recognizing the other team had to use their bubble. They have an advantage and immediately turn and shoot. The coordination, the orchestration. But then three, perhaps most impressive, Sweet's ability to calm things down in the moment was unlike anything I've seen before from a IGL and from a leadership perspective. Brilliant listening right there across the board, especially with two young guns that obviously have a lot of adrenaline pump and are so fast-paced, are so talented, but still so calm while they're doing it. That was just beyond impressive. I like what I'm seeing out of NRG.
I absolutely agree. And it goes back to what you mentioned before about having trust in your IGL. When your IGL calls something, do it and go with it and do it 100%. Have the confidence that they're having and giving you those comms. We saw even last season, Sweet coming out with this crazy collateral Kraber shot. All he said was everybody push now, and they did, and it worked. And that's really what makes the big differences with a good IGL who is cohesive with his team.
You nailed it. Board of Lazarus now. Lazarus finds himself center of epicenter, good position, and a good opportunity for them, I think, as this ring's going to potentially continue to go and pull slightly north, but I think it's going to go a little westward. So we'll see how Lazarus fares when this ring closes in and collapses. We'll see if they stay center circle or not, or within the next ring, but nonetheless in a really, really good position. Team obviously right next to them, though. I feel like, whispering obviously doesn't make a difference, but I still feel like I have to whisper in this scenario because they got a team right nearby.
Yeah, exactly. And, the sneaky plays we've seen out of a lot of these teams are also extremely entertaining because, for us, we can see where everyone is. That's the beauty of being a caster. But these guys, they are just going off of pure intuition and whatever intel they get in the game, which makes it even more intense.
Yeah. Z Davis, I'm a big fan of this young man. He obviously started fairly strong in ALGS online tournaments and for a little while didn't really have the results that he wanted. Didn't necessarily feel like he had the team he wanted, but I know he's so confident in this Lazarus squad. He didn't give up. Now he found himself a great team. Getting picked up by an org like Lazarus is a great accomplishment. I'm excited. The ceiling is high for this Lazarus team. Meanwhile, Premier, I'd say the same. Yeah, exactly.
I really like the slow play right now because this is still within ring. And while either of these teams could try to take the head-to-head because it doesn't seem like there's too many other teams around at the moment, they're still playing patient because knowledge is power. And I don't think they have a good landscape on every team that's in the area except for the one that is right in front of them.
Yeah, that's right. And on the flip side, Premier, former Obey squad, they've been together for a long time. Hambino, Crook, and Ronnie, their loyalty. Meanwhile, with NRG, they're not done yet. They just continue to do NRG thing. Pushing with aggression. Good shots being good. A good flank from Nathan. Again, one of the best players we have. He's getting some good shots, and it's not enough. Rocker last alive. Rocker has to go huge. He connects for one, but he's going to get taken out. The caustic gas is too much. This is the antithesis of this NRG squad. Ooh. No way! Rocker's still alive.
But gets taken out. The ring acting as the fourth man there for NRG, helping get that kill, but just so much chaos and a tiny little bit of his body was peeking out enough to get killed. It's unfortunate, but wow, how close.
Insane movement, insane wherewithal with the flick to get that kill. I think it was on the Wraith. I think it was Noko. While backing out, staying alive, avoiding the ring. Great job right there from NRG, but they are eliminated from this lobby. And that's been the story here. They haven't gotten the placements that they need. Kills are great. At the end of the day, that 12-point first-place finish gets you so many points, and Sentinels has been really the benefactor of that.
Definitely. Sentinels, again, looking strong. We just saw them take out Sinus Please right there, which is definitely no easy feat. And now on Complexity side, they are hurting, and they're hurting bad. Is he going to make it into this ring? So close. Reptar is out there hurting too. Monsoon is down. Sentinel looking nice and comfy up here, though.
Yeah, like freaking story of the day here for Sentinels. Comfy is the one word I'd use. They're just chilling, literally flying around the lobby, not missing shots. Is the Sentinels team. If you're just watching, Lou joins Sentinels, and all of a sudden they evolve as a team, and that's the Lou effect, right? Every team he joins, he continues to make better, and it's certainly been true here. My question is consistency. I want to see Sentinels do this week in and week out in this Pro League, and that's what's so exciting about this Pro League. We get to see matches every single week in this double round robin. For the next 12 weeks, we got Apex gameplay. It's not just an online tournament every couple months. I'm so excited for this.
I'm definitely excited to see how these teams take what they've learned from this day one. And, for the teams tomorrow, they're day one as well. But I'm excited to see what they take from this and how they return next weekend. And honestly, I feel like the Sunday groups have an upper hand because they get to see how this plays out a little bit before they start to play.
Yeah, that's a good point. Shiny getting taken out, so Complexity, again, for some reason, when they get these northern zones, I've noticed in history of Apex, they tend to not fare as well as they do when they're playing Edge, when they're playing a little southward. They're such a good edge team. I think we'll test how good of an edge team they are, not the fact that they're not a good rotation or zone team. Nonetheless, They get taken out here. I think there's one member alive still, might be Reptar, but he gets taken out as well by Lou. So I'm board now with CPR certified.
Oh my goodness, teams are dropping left and right.
Wow.
This kill feed's getting a lot of action, and the ring is hurting. We even have ultimates coming down outside of ring, so you know someone's about to go down, and that's Senpai.
That's right. Unlucky. Also, again, in an unlucky position as we jump aboard a CPR certified again. It's Kupski. Kupski played on the Flashpoint team that saw a sliver of success in the summer circuit. We thought they were starting to kind of cement themselves as a top team, but weren't able to keep that consistency up. Kupski kind of tried his hand with a couple different rosters, and he's hoping he has a top roster here and Rollers is protectful. We'll see if that's the case.
I think I saw a triple take in play, actually, which, you know, it's no Kraber, but it definitely gets the job done. I think one of the Noble members might have fallen into the triple take. RNG right now getting some fat wingman shots. That kill feed is giving all the love to the wingman right now.
Yeah, and RNG needs this play, right? Because they were coming in not necessarily within the top 5. They needed to go big. They were 6th place, so they're still fighting for a top 2 finish. It's going to be hard to beat Sentinels. This is the game that they needed. But again, speaking of Sentinels, hard to top this team with how that they are playing. But RNG and the kill feed keep lighting it up. This time, it's going to be against former My Little Phony squad. It's Phony and Scissors.
Yep, and making a great use of that L-Star to get those kills. Tor right now trying to fend. They are in the top 7 squads, which is a great and refreshing sight to see for this squad. But let's see if they can keep it together, because at this moment they are still outside the ring and there's a lot of congestion happening down here at the bottom of Epicenter. So if they decide to take this long rotation, which it does look like they will, they need to do it soon.
That's right. Tor's back. If they're fighting and getting killed early by the likes of Complexity, they're able to get the respawn, and they're in a good spot. Meanwhile, Lazarus, Valkyrie rotation, going to get actually knocked. It's going to be Z Davis out of this one. Bank last alive, looking a little scary. And again, it's going to be RNG that continues to light it up with kill points.
They were up there on the top in a position that, you know, a Valk ult came in on them, but it did not work at all. They can't stay here long. This is out of bounds territory, and the time does stack. Yep, they need to drop immediately. One down is here as well. Back over at XSG that has the wide angle on Thor, who's struggling to keep this fight alive on top of this rock. And that's big damage coming out from Zednim. The Thermite's coming out, but now they're starting to, you know, face a little bit of damage from the outside, but that is not going to phase them and not going to stop them from picking up this KP.
And finally, someone extinguishes the RNG fire. Nice job right there for SXG. Slurpee, former member of 2 Brains, 1 Controller. We got Zednim, Slurpee, and co. We'll see what they can do alongside Golden, and really leveled up Evo shields. They are well kitted, and they're in a good spot here. Yuri still finds a way to stay alive. Sneaky. He's going to be spotted out by this Bloodhound, though.
I am shocked to still see Yuris alive right now. Definitely was not having a great time, even getting back up to the top of that rock, despite multiple teams fighting in the area. But staying alive is huge right now. Up to 5 squads. That's a major difference in points. And you never know. We've seen Rats kind of make big plays in the end game before, and it can definitely happen again.
I guess you're still alive at Sentinels. I mean, a first place finish in game 1. First place finish, 12 kills in game 3. 8 kills game 2. 4 kills game 4. 6th place. I mean, they just continue to tear this entire lobby up, and they find themselves well positioned for another first place spot here. 61 points. Second place is Era with 35. They're doubling the second place team right now. It's an insane performance. But keep in mind, first place is only going to get them 12 points overall in Pro League standings based on the format as it stands. As we're watching CPR certified, they lost Kupski, and they're going to be protectful as well. It's looking for them. They're going to get taken out.
Oh my goodness, Crust and Lou, both of them with the L-Star hip-hop out here, and a big jump in right now, trying to push the attack, but it's not gonna happen. Slurpee in the bubble with a Mastiff, trying to get a Thirst, trying to get his shield up, can't do it because Bloodhound is here, and almost with the clutch wing-in shots with the beatdown out of Bloodhound is Chef's Kiss, and that is the win for SXG.
Great call right there for my girl Persia. Good finish, good end game by SXG, shutting down the champs, the Kings right now in Sentinels. But It didn't happen without a little bit of a fight. You saw Sentinels almost do it. Nice shot by Golden to heal back up, pop that shield bat, and then close things out. And just like that, SXG, who needed that game because they, coming into that, were in 10th place. That gives them a chance to break into the top 5 here, Persia.
Yeah, because SXG is actually a team that has kind of been lurking in the middle area of the leaderboard this whole time. And they've been doing well, doing consistent, but didn't have a breakout performance, which is keeping them in the running. After this, though, we might see a big change.
That's right. I can't wait to see the standings and see how exactly everything is shaken out. But like you said, SXG performs. Legacy got taken out a little bit early, so not sure what we saw out of them. RNG, high kill game. Sentinels continues to do Sentinels things. Things are getting changed quite a bit in the overall standings as we go to Game 6, which is really all you can ask for, right? Those Game 6 hype opportunities where anyone can go big. Obviously, I think pretty much secured Sentinels a first place spot with that one. They're going to get at least another 9 points plus 7-8 kills, whatever they receive. So they're going to have at least 70 or 80 points, which is crazy to think about, well above the competition. It's a race for second at this point, Persia.
And it really goes to show how our point system comes into effect, right? Sentinel has a stellar game today, but if they carried on all those points every time, it would be really tough for a lot of these other teams to ever catch up. So I'm interested to see, like I said before, how these teams learn from this day and bring more next weekend.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a very, very good point. So 12 points for first, 9 points for second, 7 points for third, and so on and so forth is how the Pro League standing points works. And of course, if you're just watching, this is the Pro League now, baby. So we have a 12-week league where teams will compete for points in the overall standings. Top team at the end of all of it will take home $35,000. The top 3 teams, well, they qualify for the Split 1 playoffs, which will happen towards the end of the year. So excited to see who will qualify for those playoffs, who will be top 3 in the overall league standings, in addition to those who qualify for the last chance qualifier and the challenger circuit for a chance to compete in split number 2. So that's kind of what's at stake here overall. And it's I love this format. It's the John Nelson, commissioner of the ALGS special. Big shout, by the way, to the entire ALGS team. Shaheen bringing in 100 Thieves and so many great partners like PGL. It's been great to have. And I know someone that knows a little bit about that is Kate, as we're going to bring her back here to join us once again.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me. And boy, what a good game to come in on right before we hit that game number 6. And I want to take it back because I like my wide-angle lens, as you guys have been bringing some incredible drama and action. Well done on the casting front to all of our casters. But I want to take it back for a second here and talk a little bit about team comps and breakdowns. As you said it best, John, it's a battle for second, right? So Sentinels, you did great, you're doing great. I'm gonna put you to the side for a second. Let's talk about some of these other teams. More importantly, Persia, in game, now that you have that scope, you're looking at game number 6. If you're one of those teams in the middle that really needs to pull this out in order to get second, third, in order to get points on the board like that, what are you looking to do in this game number 6 that you may not have done in games 1 through 5?
Well, unfortunately, if you're one of the teams that are really lagging behind, you gotta try to get some KP, and that's not gonna be easy. And I know we've kind of talked about teams rotating in early a lot, but we've seen a lot of success out of the teams that are still trying to play this edge of the ring and, you know, edge of the circle so that they can catch others rotating in. And that might be the best play for teams that might not be comfortable with taking a full-on, full-fledged fight every single time.
Now, Fallout, I gotta say, one of the things we've heard time and time again with these comms, and it's been said, is that if you can communicate effectively, orchestrate efficiently, and manipulate the momentum, you can make or break this lobby. Is that true? And if so, where did you see examples of it?
Yeah, I think that is 100% true. And the best example of it is NRG and the way that they've reacted, the way that they've bounced back. They decided to just go freak mode with an Octane and Bloodhound team composition, ultra aggressive, and with great orchestration, as we saw in that listen-in, came great execution. We saw them get 6 kills before they got taken out.
Yes, we did. Dead last 12. That is no easy feat. Persia, round 4. Let's talk about it because it continues to be a bloodbath. Strategy-wise, how do you deal with that if you're one of those teams who are trying to make that rotation as bloodless, if you will, as possible?
It's all about using your environment. Sometimes you really don't have a lot to work with, but any little box, any rock, any hillside that's in your favor, you can use that to your advantage. And although Valk is that flavor of the month right now, sometimes just walking into your location might be a little bit better.
Oh, I love that you mentioned the Valk because that has been a key theme, not just in games 4 and 5, but certainly throughout this today. Fallout, now that we've seen how Valk can be and can't be used, the mixed bag that she brings, are you expecting tomorrow's A versus B group, A versus D groups, are you expecting to see less Valkyrie than you did today?
Yeah, you know, actually, I've been kind of surprised to see the lesser amount of impact than I think what was expected with Valkyrie. We've seen other team comps really shine. Obviously, Valkyrie's still at play, and as a result of that, and a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion, but it hasn't been as bad as I think I expected coming into it. I think as a result, yeah, we might see a few less Valkyrie teams, because teams like NRG and many others have shown there's many other comps that are certainly viable.
Yes, they are. And my goodness, the Caustic, the Octane. You've seen some incredible Bloodhound plays, certainly. If we're looking through the scope now to game number 6, I was going to say, who do you have winning the whole thing? But that seems silly, Persia. Silly to talk about Sentinels one more time.
I mean, this might be the only chance I get to predict something right. So Sentinels should definitely be taking this, 100%.
Okay, that will, I can appreciate that. By the way, I just want to say one last theme that I've been mentioning and noticing is that I'm the only person yet on stream to not say McNuggy butt. Oh wait, I just did.
Welcome.
That felt really good. Felt really nice to bring that all together.
Welcome to the club, my friend. It feels great, doesn't it?
Thanks very much. We're going to make sure it's later. It's going to be awesome. Well, you know what? One other thing we want to make sure you showcase, you see from our angle, is some profiles of some teams that we like to talk about. And one of those teams, you might know them as Bottom 20, formerly Bottom 20, formerly Kangarna NA, and now, of course, 100 Thieves. They're also known as our NA ALGS champions from year number 1. Let's take a look at, oh yeah, exactly what Fallout did. Let's take a look at what they had to say about today's competition and the Pro League overall.
Let's go. Treat me like the enemy.
My name is Brendan Pody. I go by Anmu in game.
Hi, my name is Nick Hobbs. I go by Vane in game.
My name is Alex Scala, and my in-game name is Scurry.
And I play for 100 Thieves.
They treat me like the enemy.
Give me one! It's a game of peekaboo, and it looks like the move has been made now from Renegades to move in.
Okay, on me 100.
I got you! What a story it would be! It's all down to Pow Pow! Can he get it done for Renegade?
Winning ALGS has changed my life. My close friends and family, the people who support me, they know how serious it is now.
It basically gave me closure to keep pursuing this as not only a passion, but as a career.
Showtime!
My friends and family were super stoked. When I told them about this big tournament that was coming up, they didn't think too much of it. They just kind of said, good luck. But when I actually won, it brought a surprise to their faces.
Just seeing all of your hard work finally end up working out and paying off in the end, it's just insane still.
We don't want to just be the champions and then not continue to be the best. We want to make a legacy out of it.
The thing that mattered the most in the championships was a good combination of map knowledge, gun skill, and overall just good vibes with your team.
Our team's playstyle and chemistry, it's a little bit more of a kind of passive aggressive play style. Like we're passive at the beginning half of the game, and then come ring 4 or something, we're usually looking for kills or looking for a power position.
The team comp we play, Valk, Gibby, and Caustic, it suits our niche play style so well. It suits us as a team so well. It's interesting because it's hard for other teams to play the comp as easy as we make it, I guess, look like we're really well versed in it.
The biggest thing that I'm looking forward with in ALGS 2.0 is the Pro League system. It's new, it's different. We haven't had it before, and the LAN events.
Obviously, I would say go back to back, or at least finish in the top 3 in the first Pro League, and then obviously just make it to the first LAN. We want to take our North American Championship worldwide.
Go, 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 go! Let's go! I love you!
To future competitors or people that want to pursue Apex, hey man, just keep working at it.
Apex is really hard. BR is hard. It takes time. But as long as you're playing all the time, you'll get there eventually. So the main two things is make sure you're actually enjoying it and your mental health is first.
You gotta love 100 Thieves, formerly Bottom 20, formerly NA Congarna NA. John, real quick, I know you chatted with these guys before. What are your thoughts on what we just saw?
Just an amazing story from start to finish. I mean, a team that grinded from the bottom to the top, and as a result of that hard work, determination, that grit, and some hardship along the way, is without going into too much detail, one member of the squad actually almost had to give up their home. With courtesy of the championship prize money earning, was able to maintain their home with their family and continue to perform, continue to compete. A great story from start to finish. It's just a testament to their personality and their character.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about start to finish and in terms of our leaderboards here, because we do have those numbers ready to go after our game number 5. Here are the results, and that is a solely French toast.
Wow.
Persia, full out
Wow.
Persia. Whoa. That's a lot of cheddar up top there, friends.
All right, SXG, no need to save any for anybody else because they want it all. And this is exactly what I was talking about with you, Fallout, that these points, the kills, is really going to make a difference. I need to see the overall standings now after that.
Yeah, that's spot on. I mean, those 3 teams alone picking up almost over half the lobby. Even take a look. Sentinels still doubling, dominating right now. 80 points in first place. 47 for SXG. They climb up 8 rankings. They're in second place. What a showing from SXG. And of course, Renegades with a great game as well. NRG sneaks into the top 10. And again, another big game from them. They can actually leapfrog Complexity, Legacy, and others.
I'm just going to sit here and have the breath. Yeah. 80. Okay, cool. Well, this is basically like it's you said it earlier. It's the race to number 2, and well done, Sentinels. Way to dominate in incredible fashion. And I'm not even sure how to segue into our next thing, other than to say, guess what? Well, we can have you enter the Lenovo Legion ALGS Pro League giveaway. Yes, for a chance to win a free Lenovo Legion gaming PC. Go ahead and visit twitter.com/Lenovo Legion. You're going to be excited that you did. That's where you can find more details. Oh my gosh! And the hits just keep on coming in a good way. Let's talk about those who are part of Amazon Prime. Oh yeah, because Prime Gaming, well, they're kicking things off and taking things to high gear with the Apex Legends right now. Prime members can grab the exclusive Electric Royalty bundle with an epic Watson skin. Look at her, she's just fabulous. And a shocking new look for the Volt. Head on over to gaming.amazon.com/Apex Legends for more details. And make sure you check back each month to claim the latest from your Legends. Look at her, I mean, she is just, it's not even shocking how electrically brilliant she is. I couldn't think of any more puns to do with electricity, so my bad. But at any rate, you don't need to hear from me anymore. I'm going to go ahead and find myself out and take a watch, put my feet up and take out some popcorn because game number 6, well, it's headed right around the corner right after this. Woo!
Welcome back, you beautiful bunch. It's time for our final game of the day here in the Apex Legends Global Series Pro League North America. And Dan, this has been the story of Sentinels so far today. This has been nothing short of a statement from this new lineup.
Yeah, 18 kills for Lou, 16 for Crust, over 6k damage for Lou as well. I mean, quite the entrance, you've got to say, from Sentinels. They're already on 80 points on set. I hate to spoil things for everyone, but they're gonna win week 1 of Pro League here. We need to see a 22 kill game plus a victory from SXG, plus Sentinels going out in first place. So, you know, it could happen, but it's very unlikely.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, everybody.
It's not gonna happen.
Do you know what, Dan? If it does happen, I'll shave my head. All right, we'll leave it at that. But for now, we're going to start off with the point of view of NRG, who have had an up and down day, to say the least. It hasn't been their best performance, but I do feel a lot better now that they're back on a composition, which I feel really does suit their playstyle. That's brought them success in the past. And we've seen that improvement as soon as that switch was made in Game 3, Dan. And all of a sudden, they look like a little bit more like the NRG of old.
Well, they were slap bang bottom. They were looking like an embarrassment, if I'm going to be honest. It's not the NRG we're used to seeing, and then now they're back on a steady footing. They're up into 10th position. They're only a few points behind Complexity, and at one point Complexity were in the top 5, but have now dropped down to 9th position. So both of these teams really need a good game here to push their way up to top 5, maybe even potentially top 3 with a big game to try and come away with a nice amount of Pro League points. Otherwise, they're looking at just maybe 1-2 Pro League points for week 1, which is not what either of those organizations would be expecting with the history that these players have. But at least it's been rescued so far from Energy. It's just whether they can actually push themselves that little bit further to give themselves a good week 1 rather than just an okay week 1.
Well, we did get a sneaky little peek at the zone thanks to the beacon being hit by NRG, and we're going to see it pop up on our screens as well. You can see it at the top left-hand side of your screen, the edge of it, and it was heading towards Countdown, Landslide, maybe towards the bridge just between those two POIs, maybe just pulling north of Landslide. We do see some finishes out on that open field. So the first time we're really going to see a huge amount of one of the new POIs replacing a Train Yard. Landslide doesn't have a huge amount of verticality in comparison to what Train Yard used to offer. But around these areas that NRG are currently located, there's a lot more cover to play down. You can play around these rocks. They've got that train cart to play with as well. There is definitely better angles in this area, more survivability chances with the geometry that's in place.
You can see the areas that Energy are pinging as well. They very much feel like maybe they could set up home here because this could be one of the prime positions to hold, but very difficult to hold, especially without a caustic. Yes, okay, they've got the Gibby to at least bubble when they need it, but what happens when that bubble depletes if there are nades to follow? So you can see them scouting the lay of the land at the moment, taking a look to see if anyone's nearby, also ensuring they're getting enough loot right now because they don't feel like they're well enough equipped to go into that end game. But with no one really contesting the current area they're in, they have a freedom just to stretch their legs a little bit here, have a little bit of an exploration saga mission, and ensure they've got enough to work with later on.
If you've been watching all day, you watched Amir, you watched NA up to this point. Firstly, an onset point to you because that is an official currency, probably. I don't know. That's not true. But obviously, if you're enjoying today, don't worry, we've got more coming tomorrow. Plenty more ALGS Pro League coming your way. So you're not going to be short of Apex action over the next couple of months for sure, as NRG just try and survey the area, try and see if they can catch any teams on their rotation. At the moment, it looks like a very quiet lobby, though. No shots really being fired in any kind of anger at the moment. Nobody being knocked. It's a chill, nice kind of vibe, to be honest with you. A little bit of jazz music playing in the background here on World's Edge.
On the topic of onset points, I've known onset for about 10 years. I've only received 3, so he doesn't give them out sparingly. So congratulations to you. You've managed to achieve 1. You are almost as much as I am. Maybe he just doesn't like me. I'm starting to come to that realization.
It's a valuable coin, okay? It's however, if I give them out too much, the market will crash down. You know nothing about the economics.
There are a lot of people watching this broadcast.
I don't.
You've just given out 1. I'm just going to point that out. Yeah, you clearly don't. But anyway, NRG, still focusing on them, but we'll move across to Sentinels now because, well, they have been the focus for everyone throughout this entire day. What a performance it's been. 2 victories, as well as a second place, as well as kill upon kill. No, we don't want to see them eliminated in the first place, because then that could happen if they were down in 20th, you know? Then my brain starts to tick on set.
Might have to shave my head down.
What if SXG do get those kills? But for now, elsewhere, Era, Eternity have lost a player as well, so a few players being eliminated here or there, but no teams falling as a 3 just yet.
A little bit of damage being exchanged between a couple of teams here. This is bench warmers making their way towards countdown, and the truck in front of them is going to be a pretty good place to hold as well. Unfortunately, though, Noct is taking quite a lot of damage, but manages to get a battery off, which is going to allow him to move across a little bit more comfortably. However, comfortable is a word that maybe isn't the best one to use at this point. However, he has made it to his teammates, and now he is looking a little bit more snuggly than he was a few moments ago. So they're going to have some loot to pick up on their way. Madness is going to pop the Phoenix kit as well to make sure that he can fight at his best capacity, but only one player down, and that's the death box we're staring at.
It's about as comfortable when you're on a plane and the air hostess comes around and says, "Are you comfortable?" And you're like, "Yeah," but you're not really comfortable.
Yeah, after like
plane seats aren't that great.
8.5-hour flight where you've been basically stood up. Yeah.
Turbulence and everything. Yeah, it's not great. But actually unlucky. Getting tagged here at the moment, and Human has to back off, and they have to be careful. They do want to try and hold down these trucks that they've pinged, but it seems like quite a few teams are trying to reside in the same area, and quite rightly so, is one of the prominent positions during a zone like this. But they also want to try and get that banner back. That's going to be their prime focus. But at some point, the call has to be made of that banner is not being grabbed. And with 10 seconds left, you imagine they're probably going to back off.
CPR certified. They're going to be holding down the mining pass tunnel between Harvester and Landslide, and they've got the caustic barrels down as well, so anyone trying to push through here is going to be met with a nasty, and to be honest, quite smelly surprise as they wander around and find themselves a little place to play, see if they can get any angles on damage. It's the one thing they will struggle with, though, with holding down this this area. You can't really get any poke damage. There's no real lines of sight out for you, especially if you try and poke at Landslide. A lot of teams are going to be watching that and making sure that you can't pop your head up and exchange a little bit of damage. So those blue shields, you would imagine, probably going to stay that way unless the team tries to push in.
Yeah, you hope that someone makes the mistake of rotating through, but for the most part, teams know to avoid pushing through an area like this unless you've got good reason to do so. Either it be running away from a team or trying to third-party a team that already is in residence. And I don't think that's going to be the case here for CPR Certified. So instead, they're just going to have to wait, they're going to have to be patient, and then they'll make their move later when the circle forces them in. But for now, they can just kind of watch and see if there's any noise nearby before they make their decision. Certainly a very quiet game at the moment. All teams just assessing their options, rotating into the circle accordingly. We've only lost one player so far, so still a full and healthy lobby. But for the rest of the teams, it's just about patience. That is the name of the game right now. Sometimes Game 6s can be a little bit nervy. Sometimes teams are reluctant to make pushes. They're reluctant to be aggressive because they need to secure X amount of points to ensure that they get, I don't know, 4th place or 5th place in the overall standings. And bang, as I say it, production's on the money. That's the live leaderboard for you. Sentinels, as we said, have probably got week 1 in the bag on 80 points. It's almost definite at this point, but the fight for 2nd place is what excites me on set. SXG and Renegades very much up there.
NRG just patrolling as much of this track as you can. It's one thing to hold down an area, it's another to hold space and really deny anyone moving in, doing damage, and kind of starting fights between two other teams is always a good thing to do, or influence those fights. And Rockery is going to be able to do that with a charge rifle in hand. Not sure if he has the best of scopes to work with on that thing, so it might be a case of just trying to line up a few shots from distance and do what he can. But you can see the issue now with what used to be train yard, Landslide. Yes, no real areas to play comparatively to what they used to be. You used to have the train carts up high, you had the big building at the back, the kind of hangar building, but now it's kind of just rocks, leftover cargo containers, and a few remnants of what was train yard falling from the skies. The cables have broken as NRG still on these tracks. Rocker does have a pretty good scope on this thing anyway, so he will be able to do some damage.
We had a brief glance of W, who are somewhat nearby, down in 14th position at the moment on 18 points. Of course, 2 players previously on My Little Phony, but haven't really been able to find as much success as we did see in that one tournament leading up to Champs when My Little Phony really just blew everyone out of the water. But for now, it looks like they are just going to have to wait and be patient in this game alongside everyone else. Lazarus still on the edge at the moment as well. Do have an idea of a team that is nearby, and that's why they're just holding this building at the moment, just in case they are going to be pushed. But that's going to be the ping, and there is going to be the sonar being sent out by the Bloodhound. So now the jig is up. They're not going to be able to get any sort of ambush. Instead, they may have to take this fight if the team on the high ground decides they want to push it, because they do have to come in through this circle.
Well, I've got a little break in the play here, and not too much is going on as the teams are kind of posturing. Humour me here, Dan. You CPR certified? Just interested.
I am.
Are you actually?
Yeah. I am. I've done my first aid training. I think it's actually probably, I need to redo it again in probably 6 months or so. But yeah, I'm first aid trained. I'm all the good stuff.
All of us.
I can save your life.
I was going to say, all of a sudden you've become more valuable to me. Anyway,
yeah, shame we've had 2 years of online broadcast where I can't help anyone except myself. But at that point, I think we're lost.
Estral Esports making their move now. Trying to force the bubble. There is the bubble going down, so they might be in a position to actually do a little bit of damage here if they can find the angles to do so. 25 seconds left for them to just sneak their way into the zone, which he will be able to do pretty comfortably, as you can see. Teammate Castillo is right next to him, and they will be inside of the zone and safe. So everyone's still very cozy, still very comfy at the moment. And it is when the next zone starts to close that the playable areas start to evaporate in front of these teams' eyes, and I'm going to see teams forced to fight.
It's about not getting too lazy here, because if you do get lazy at this point, then that's when you start to make silly decisions. When the game's quite slow, it's very easy just to be like, oh, well, I guess we'll just hold here for a while. And then suddenly a team comes out of nowhere and you're not prepared for it. You need to be switched on at all times. Communication has to be on point. You can't let a slow game get the better of you. But you are right. We did see one player go down. It was Noko. And now we're starting to see more in the kill feed. And actually, that's going to be your first wipe of a squad. And it looks like it was Noko's team.
Sentinels are making a very interesting rotation now. They're going to hit the guys. And let's jump into a listen-in as they're trying to find a spot to play.
Have to make it quick. Oh. Walk up. Don't get right now. Might be right above you. Be careful.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, behind us.
Yeah, arcing down.
Bubble. Helping.
Come to me. Just come to the bubble.
Okay. Is he on top of the bubble?
They ulted us. We gotta drop.
Drop.
Yeah, come to me. Come to me. Just straight follow me.
Full team in graveyard. Full team in graveyard.
That's fine. That's fine. Peek. Just come to this corner right here.
There's no way this team forces us. It'd be like actually branded.
I want to go back once we get bubble.
I want, yeah. Back to where?
Where we just were?
Yeah.
Didn't see anything
Can we just climb up, bro? I think they're on.
Yeah, we can.
Be careful from the graveyard. It's killing you.
I know. They're not paying
Yeah.
Oh, that was a little close.
That was really close.
Yeah.
They can walk up on us, whole cast.
I think they're trying to walk up.
No, you're good.
But they don't have Gibby ult, so it doesn't matter.
We gotta be careful.
Bro, why did
shot from this building? Well, look at this
yeah,
pole.
it's fine. I'm just gonna. Do you guys have a med kit?
Nope. Use one now.
Yeah, I do.
Look at this pole, by the way.
They're gonna move soon. Is it? It's a Valk team, right? Yeah, I see the pool. We got sort of fucked, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna fly.
We can fight them.
Yeah, honestly, we can. 100%. I think this is a free fucking fight, actually. Is there any way we can get up on
Crack Gibby, crack Gibby. Walk up. I'm bumping up.
I'm walking up left. I'm getting up left side. I'm getting up left. I'm gonna shoot you left.
Yep. Ape, fucking hard ape.
Straight to 100.
Right one.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Just amazing. Hold the shot. Oh, that's
armor swap.
I'm holding the sword.
Fucking well played.
I did nothing that fight, Luki.
I should on them. Yeah, no, we can't give them time to reset when we do that fucking damage. I just had to ape.
Yeah, you're good. I ran
good
into
job.
it when I came in left or late. I didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
Sentinels just making it look simple, Dan. You heard the call, just hard ape, just push them, run them, and they didn't even take enough damage for one of them to go down. Sentinels team fighting today has been exemplary.
Yeah, you really feel sorry for the opposing team, whoever is going to go up against Sentinels, but when you're just kind of residing in a building and you hear some shots outside and you think, oh, it's all right, maybe we can take down a fight, and then the kill feed, the first knock comes through and you're like, we're against Sentinels. It's been good, boys. We'll see you in the next week of Pro League, because that's you down and out. And Sentinels, with the few points they've picked up, they are slowly but surely confirming their week 1 victory, confirming their 12 points here from Pro League week number 1. But it's going to be about who gets those 9 points, who gets that second place, who gets those 7 for third as well. And even though Sentinels have dominated this lobby, that's all they're going to have to show for it, is they're going to have a 3-point lead over second place. So it does show that you still need to be consistent week after week. You cannot win kind of Pro League. You can't take a massive lead in Pro League just by having one good week. You need to continue this consistency.
This rotation from Sentinels has been absolutely nuts. They just fought their way through the lobby. They took on that fight inside of the building where they had to force that team. Otherwise, they would have been gate-kept by them. Wipe them off the face of the planet. They just poke around the corner with a scan. They bubble across the choke to make sure they don't take damage. And now they find themselves inside a zone here. That countdown, and they're going to have another move to make as well. But for now, they're safe. It really has been made to look so simple for them as Unlucky. They're not finding it quite as simple as they're down to just 2 in Human and Osenpai, the last 2 players alive. Charge rifle in the hands. He's going to be doing some damage and maybe an opportunity to third party as all of a sudden things are starting to kick off in the distance for them.
like shooting fish in a barrel, and actually there's going to be several players dropping into others, and that is just going to be explosion of KP over in that corner, you'd imagine. And you can see in the kill feed that is definitely happening right now. Player after player is dropping. Bowser goes down. There's 2 players from Era Eternity that have just fallen, and now we're just down to 15 squads like that. Era Eternity eliminated into 15. W in a little bit of a confrontation here, but they'll get the wipe as well. So after all the patients down in the tunnel, W will come down, will sweep up, will get the KP.
And we are going to see the lobby just disappear very, very quickly here, because like I mentioned, Landslide doesn't provide too many playable areas as NRG. They fall next, down to 12 from around 18, 19 teams just a few moments ago, as Benchwarmers now under pressure inside the bubble as well. Madness is the last alive, and surprise, surprise, it's Sentinels once again who just slap another team back into the respawn screen.
And Sentinels are just, they're making this look far too easy. This is like...
It looks like men versus boys at the moment. This lobby. It's
really
nuts.
is. It's just unfair at this point. Just do we gift them into playoffs just so we can get a fair lobby next in week 2? Because if it carries on like this, it's going to be the Sentinel show for quite some time here for the rest of the year. But they're kill leaders, they're playing with no fear, and yes, they had a flawless rotation on set that you were pointing out, but that's because they're so in command at the moment. SXG though, they're in 2nd place. They need to be staying alive here. They need to try and ensure they're picking up KP, getting to the late game so that they can walk away with 9 points here in Pro League, just behind Sentinels.
This is not good.
But one's gone down, make it 2.
This is not good whatsoever.
Slurpee.
Slurpee is the last player alive, and he's going to be trying to do what he can. Who's looking for the pieces? Who's looking to pick the bones? It's Sentinels, of course. Senox did get that final kill, as Sentinels now move just outside of the zone and just add to the tally. At this point, it's time to get the calculator out for the kills, because you can't count them on 2 hands.
Torrent go down as well. This is good news for RNG with the SXG falling. That opens up 2nd place as a potential spot they could grab. Lazarus also could move up there. I think Complexity may still be alive, but yep, there they are, right on the kill feed, bang on the money, and they're going up against Lazarus. Monsoon getting the opener onto Vize, and now we'll see whether they can close out those kills. If Complexity can have a big game here, they can really project themselves up this leaderboard, push into top 5, maybe even top 3. But with the way Sentinels are playing, no one is safe. Not one single team is safe in this lobby as long as Sentinels are alive.
Sentinels are kind of channeling their inner Goldberg at the moment and just looking at teams and saying, you're next. And it's as simple as that. Just run at them, just spear them, and then that's it. Unbeaten, undefeated. That kind of vibe going on for them at the moment. However, you're also going to watch Ghost Gaming right now doing a huge amount of damage. The turbocharger on that Devotion is going to rip through the shields and the health of O Senpai. He will go down, and finally Sentinels find themselves up against a little bit of a tough situation. Cross is going to have to pop that battery. Lou has gone down, but it's just for now, as this rock will provide just enough cover for them to get back up to 3.
So gods do bleed, it would seem, but not enough for Lou to be taken out of this game. Instead, they are going to get back up, and maybe that's just going to be a little bit of a taster for what to come for the rest of the lobby, as they see Sentinels on the ground, and they might just want to get them out of the lobby for the sake of keeping themselves alive at this point and trying to get an easier way for their path to the top 3, or maybe even winning this game number 6. Have to shout out Noble. They're still alive. They are currently in 6th position as it stands, but 3 of the teams above them are already out. But here comes Sentinels again.
Sentinels, they're just pushing in. They do not care. But have they met their match this time? Lou will get one, tries to swing around, does damage. Xenox, last player alive, has to clutch up here for Sentinels, cannot do it. And finally, the roll of Sentinels will be stopped, as now we jump on board with Complexity still controlling this high ground.
It is worth mentioning, though, Sentinels have done easily enough to be the champions of week 1 of Pro League. They will be walking away with 12 points. It's been such an impressive performance, but game 6 is about who's going to be picking up place number 2, place number 3. Complexity trying to contest as best as possible from the high ground here, applying a lot of damage and getting knocks. They get the knock onto Vaxlon of RNG, so Renegades down to just 2 at the moment, but may be able to get Vaxlon back up. Complexity and Renegades, 2 key teams here in this fight.
My word, the missile swarm is going to crack shields for fun. Reptar is just going to be shooting fish in a barrel as Complexity starts to remind us all of just how deadly they could be in these final zones. Reptar once again just picking his targets, not missing a bullet. They have to be careful of the defensive bombardment, but they survive.
Renegade seem to be eliminated. Ghost have just been eliminated as well. Now we're down to just 5. Complexity were in 9th position on 27 points coming into this, but they're already in top 5, and they've got KP, and they are just making this game near impossible for everyone below them right now. Complexity very much in the power position. It's just a question of, does anyone even challenge them? Can anyone challenge them? Because they're all focusing on so many different fights right now, it's difficult to even think about Complexity.
Complexity just peppering everyone in the lobby at the moment from height. They will have to move in a little bit though as that zone does start to creep in. W are trying to play the outside of this train cart, which is currently occupied. Shots going in with the Eva 8. The bubbles go down. It's going to be an attempted thermite into the window. Not sure if it actually managed to connect in the way that they wanted it to, but now they're going to have to push. Now they're going to try and commit, but it's a bubble standoff between the two teams as finally they're going to engage. It looks like W will fall.
W go down in 5th. Lazarus have lost a couple of players. Noble should be able to reset here. So we're looking at Complexity, and we're looking at Noble, and we're looking at a very weak Lazarus, plus one of the team that I haven't been able to quite see so far, but it's still Complexity who lead things right now. And all while those fights were happening, they were dealing damage, they were getting knocks, they were picking up KP here or there. Whilst their KP isn't crazy good right now, it's still enough with a win to give them the chance of pushing into the likes of top 3 here in week 1 of Pro League.
A reminder to everyone at home that Complexity are back, and Complexity are still one of the teams to fear for everybody. Now the drop comes in, as it will be forced, but the bubble won't go down, and that is massive for Complexity. Shiny not being able to get that bubble on the floor means that his 2 teammates now have a much more difficult rotation to make. There might be the option of the portal. That looks like the play they're going to be going to, so Monsoon will be instrumental here in the survival of his teammate.
Whilst they did have the power position, they very much made themselves a target. And it was Premier GG, the 4th team, who are just being a thorn in the side of Complexity. They've done so much damage. So it moves over to the likes of Noble now, who can wait inside this building, who, if they can hold off this push, do give themselves a real chance of winning this game.
Now coming in, Noble retreating to the inside as there's a defensive bombardment going down, and that's going to do damage to everybody around them at the moment. And now it's just easy view in a lovely scenic view here. Lovely vistas for Noble as everyone else is taking damage. Monsoon will fall to the ring. So now it's just a straight shootout. Noble still in control inside of the truck.
And they get the scan as well, so they know exactly where they are. They have to portal through. Lucas has gone down. Impulse and Rack have a big job to do. A lot of damage with the alternator, though. Can the Eva 8 manage to sweep things up here? It's a 2 versus 2, and PGG are on the other side. Premier GG have done so much damage, but they need to step up here and now.
Alternator shredding through shields. The question is, can they get the finish, though, as they drop in now? Noble should be in control. Noble are in control, and Noble will be your final champion of Day 1 of North America.
And Noble make up for that game 1 today, where they lost in the 1 versus 1, and we were kind of asking questions, you know, are they going to be able to clutch up? They've been getting to the late games. Well, now they get the job done. Now they show us that they are here to play, and I think it should be enough to secure them a top 3 here. I mean, we'll confirm it later with points, but that is a nice, juicy amount of placement points and KP to follow. Also, shout out to Complexity. They put some big points on the board to project them up the leaderboards. This is going to be tight at the top, except for Sentinels, by the way. They've absolutely demolished the rest of the lobby.
It's going to be tight from second down. I think it's the easy way to play. I think the overriding story, as we said previously, we said it going into this game, we said it in game 4, Sentinels have been unbelievable so far today. I kind of run out of words, you know, to describe the excellence that we've seen from this lineup, and only greater things to come for them. I'm sure that they're probably thinking that at the moment between all 3 of them. You know, what a day they've had, but it all started in that game number 1, Dan. It all started in that game number 1 with that win for Sentinels, and the way that they got the job done just filled them with the confidence that they needed to move forward as we take a look now at the game 6 results.
Damn, okay, Noble. I see you out here with the 22 points. That puts them up onto 58 in total, which takes them above SXG. And just looking down at Renegades, takes them above Renegades as well. We may be looking at Noble finishing in 2nd place overall, but we'll get confirmation a little bit later. Elsewhere, Premier GG with an 18 points, Complexity with 12, Lazarus, W, Ghost Gaming all picking up a decent amount of points as well. But Sentinels still getting 10 kills. Yep. It didn't even matter that they finished in 8th. They were just mopping up the lobby for fun.
It was pretty crazy. And when you have a team doing that in the lobby as well, when you have the likes of Noble and Sentinels both popping up with 20 kills, it means there's not a huge amount of points for the rest of the lobby to try and close that gap at the top, especially if you're outside of that top 10 and you want to try and shift yourself up a couple of places to get a couple of Pro League points on board after day 1 is done and dusted. Torrent with a 10th place placement, no kills to go alongside it, not been the best day for them, but again, one notable absence from that top 10, Dan, it's NRG.
Yeah, NRG are not going to have a week one to certainly scream or shout about. Maybe they'll be able to creep away with 1 point here. I don't think they'll even manage to get 2. I think Premier GG and the likes are going to leapfrog them in the leaderboards to take that 2 points off them in Pro League. So it will just be the 1 they'll have to result to. But that only puts them, what, 11 points off of first place, right? So they can catch up as the weeks go on. They just need to go again. They need to assess what went wrong, why it went wrong, and maybe just this combination of teams didn't work for them. Maybe when they go up against Group A or Group D, things might fit in a little bit better. They might have a more comfortable drop. They might have an easier rotation. There's all these different factors that do come into it. But ultimately, I think they will be disappointed with how they performed today, and they need to step up next week.
We're going to bring Kate back in now as we are going to obviously see what her reaction is, because that was a pretty crazy game to close things out, and I'm just blown away by how good Sentinels have been today. I know I kind of harp on about it, but rightly so. There's only so many times you get to talk about this kind of performance from a team across 6 games.
You know what? You are absolutely right, Unset. And I do want to ask this question from a different direction, because Sentinels had such a dominating performance. The math does not lie. It is incredible. But let me ask you both this question. Gaskin, we'll start with you. What is there to do about Sentinels? How do you counteract? What can be done in this lobby against a team that can basically take anyone out?
Run and hide, survive, hope someone else maybe does a little bit of damage and kills them before you. But I think Mark said it perfectly when he said that they really set the precedent here in game 1. When they won that 1v1 clutch, you heard the comms afterwards, you heard the confidence that was flowing through them. That allowed them to play the game however they wanted to play. They already knew they got the victory, they got placement points, they were leading this lobby. They don't fear anyone in this lobby. They feel like they can win any fight, and that was perfectly displayed in game number 6 when they just ran wherever they want through whoever they want, and that's terrifying. I think the way you've got to get Sentinels back on your level is by beating them in a 3v3, but beating them in a way that you embarrass them to the point where they start to lack that confidence once again. But from what I've seen, I can't see that happening anytime soon.
I think to jump on the back of that, Kate, you know, the only people, when Sentinels are playing like this, when all 3 players on Sentinels are playing at this level, the only people who can really beat Sentinels are Sentinels. And I know that sounds like a little bit of a cliche to say, but I talked about how important that game 1 was, and I keep talking about how important that game 1 was, because they're also a group of players who, if things don't go their way, all of a sudden, they can look like a team who haven't played together before. But I'm super excited from the way that they've started off the Pro League. I'm super excited for the way they've started off ALGS 2.0. And if they can keep that momentum going now into another day, into another week, then they are going to be a team to be very, very scared of.
Absolutely. And, you know, this is a pretty scary lobby in general. We talked about the race to 2nd and 3rd place, certainly. But I want to bring it back a little bit. We saw some incredible gameplay from Noble, and we saw some incredible gameplay from our not just Complexity, but I'm trying to look at my notes here, W. I say this because W has been bringing in that caustic throughout this day's tournament. I say that because Noble, we have seen them position themselves so well, only to be taken down after that position. You know, Onset, keep this going for me. Talk to me a little bit about Noble and about W and sort of that practice makes perfect scenario.
I think it's practice makes perfect, but I think a comfort level was very important today in what teams were running composition-wise. I think NRG is a great example of that. Trying something different, trying the Valkyrie thing, the Valkyrie composition, I should say, in the first 3 games didn't work. They changed back to something that they know a lot better, and it moved them up to 13th place. Yes, it isn't the result they would have wanted, but it's a lot better than I think if they would have stayed on that composition. And I think a lot of teams were playing a composition they were very, very comfortable with. There wasn't a huge amount of Valkyrie compared to what we saw in EU earlier, in my personal opinion, from what I saw. And it was more about the classic lineups that we've seen before. Sentinels showing that, you know, Gibby, Bloodhound, just getting the job done, getting the information, Gibby being the fullback, and then having the Octane to be aggressive is what can still win you games if you're working as a cohesive unit.
Okay, Gaskin, I got a question. If you were to look at this Group B versus Group C overall leaderboard, you see those points. Can you give me the headline? And it can't involve Sentinels. That's the challenge.
Noble come back after being embarrassed in a 1v1 to finish in 2nd place after a very emphatic Game 6. They were embarrassed. There was did you see what happened? There was no way Noble should have lost that game 1. It was a 1v1 that they should have won, but it was embarrassing.
I love Savage,
but sometimes you need to have the mental strength to come back from that. They've done just that. They've won Game 6. They finished in 2nd place. They're only 3 points behind Sentinels in Pro League, and they can get revenge another day.
You know what? I love it when
okay? I've just got to throw this out there. There's 2 Dans, and this Savage Dan is new Dan, and I love it. Honestly, I'm a big fan of it.
I'm a big fan as well. Dan, you rock. I love it so much. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about, as we mentioned, we've been talking about teams this whole time. Well, you know what? That means it's about time we talk about the individuals playing. There is no IN team, but guess what? Today, we're talking about each of those players. This is our Monster MVP discussion segment. Okay. Now, we talked about before game number 1 how hard it is for our analysts, for Fallout and for Persia to come up with a top 3 teams to watch. I'm going to ask you, Gaskin, you're coming in hot. I feel it right now. I want you to tell me a little bit about who had your heart, who was breaking your heart, and which of these teammates you could really see go all the way in our Monster MVP.
I'm going to take this one off of Onset because I know he's thinking it already, but it's hard to go against Xenox when the way Xenox was playing for Sentinels, the Kraber play where he almost got the triple with one of the most ridiculous pushes I've ever seen with a Kraber as well, just individually was popping off time and time again, kept Sentinels alive for various scenarios where they maybe wouldn't have been able to survive in other situations, but yeah, he was my player to watch for today. Very impressed with what he achieved.
I mean, for me, I'm going to jump off the back of it, and I was going to pick Xenox. However, I was going to put the argument forward that you could pick anyone on Sentinels. The reason being, game number 1, Crust, clutch 1v1. He won it. Lou in that last game, plus his IGL calls have been absolutely amazing so far today. But I think Xenox has just had those moments, right? And those moments are so vital. But, you know, now that I say it out loud, I'm actually going to give it to Lou. Because I think when you come onto a new lineup, yes, they've been playing together, you kind of seem to take over that IGL role from what we've heard in the communication. To gain the trust of your 2 teammates to back you up in those situations takes a lot. So I'd actually put Lou forward, in my opinion. But any member of Sentinels could happily be taking that kind of just MVP role on.
To jump off it again, Lou did 8,068 damage, the most in the lobby today. So I guess that seems like a fair representation of who performed well today. It's someone who did over 8k damage in 6 games in a pro lobby. I think that's over 2,000 more than anyone else. And those teammates, they were his teammates. They were able to get close to him.
I'm going to say this once and for all. I really think that everybody on Sentinel should consider being pro Apex players. You know, should really just buckle down and do it. Let's take a look at the kill leaderboards and see exactly how much more damage some of these players have dealt out. I love that you brought that in, Gaskin. Oh man, there's just some kills leaderboard here, but you can't not take a look at our 1 and 2, Gaskin. That's a lot of kills.
Yeah, not only did Lou do the damage, but he also got the kills to follow. Crust picking up 21, between them 42. I think Xenox got 10, yeah, you can see him down there. So cumulatively, 52 kills between the 3 of them is just stupid.
Half of the top 6 is Sentinels. What else have you got to say? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the difference between what we saw earlier in EMEA, where we were like, okay, there's no real standout teams, you know, players playing together, where one team is completely dominated. Completely different here. You just look, as I say, half the top 6 are Sentinels players.
That is fast math, and I will be saying damage that way from now on. This has been your Monster MVP segment for the day. Oh, you know what? I will say this. That's one of my favorite segments all day long because it really gets us the opportunity to showcase some of not just these in-game leaders who have done incredible things, but also basically showcasing how the sum of your parts can sometimes be just as impressive as the team itself. So at any rate, well done, gents, for sure. One thing I will say, though, we are going to have to look at a very sad talent predictions graphic in just a moment here because there's just nothing about this.
What are you talking about? That looks great. That's a wonderful looking talent predictions.
Good grief. Why did I say it?
Good to be back on top. Look at you know, NRG, complexity. Go with Renegades, you know? Do the research. What is it people say these days? Do your own research.
Do the work.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, Renegade. number one. Give me my crown.
Gaskin, we were robbed. We were robbed.
We were, but Mark needs to remember this is a marathon, not a sprint. If we accumulate points from earlier, we are very close still. But some main takeaway, actually a genuine takeaway from predictions, is that I went for an outlier for EMEA, Mark went for an outlier for NA, and that seemed to have paid off. So maybe we need to stop like accumulatively predicting things together as a team and just go separate. 5 teams. Maybe we make that a rule. No one can predict the same thing. But then I guess
who goes first? That doesn't work, Dan. That doesn't work at all. It's fine.
Forget it.
I'll say.
Forget it. Forget it.
You know what though? If we're using fast math, you both had 100% of the wins in the talent predictions department half the time today. So well done to both of you for sure. Exactly.
We do a fist bump. We do that thing. There you go, Dan.
Oh my gosh, could we do it? That's
I'm tired.
Okay. It has been a long day, everyone, but we, of course, are so excited to be showcasing all of this drama in action alongside our NA broadcast. Remember, you saw EMEA earlier today, you saw NA just now, but guess what? As Onset mentioned earlier, we've got a full day of Apex tomorrow, starting with our EMEA broadcast, and of course, concluding with our 4 p.m. Eastern North American broadcast. We're all Apex, we're all the time. It's groups A and D tomorrow. You're gonna see TSM, you're gonna see those 100 Thieves teams, and I'm sure we're gonna have a grand old time. We will, of course, be watching from our viewing parties ourselves, and it's going to be awesome. Hey, and you know what? I've been told that we actually have a little bit of social to talk about, and that, of course, if you want to follow us with all the action, and why wouldn't you? We've got some great Twitter handles at Play Apex Esports, and this is from Mary. ALGS are actually a ton of fun to watch. Can't wait for LAN either. Woo! That is a hot take.
Yeah, I feel that one. That one was emotional.
Well, this one should equally be as emotional. Apex is bananas. I believe it's BANANAS. The ALGS series isn't even over yet, and they've already almost 30 more points in the top finishing EMEA team from today. You know, I'll be honest. It
firing
was
shade on
EMEA.
You firing shade? I see that. That was like the sky's shade. I see it. I see through that tweet.
Fired. Yes, but you know what? This makes everything better because puppies always do. A new puppy, new season. That is how we do. Nina wishes all of us a POF Extreme. Oh, that's fun. Okay, see, this is what happens. We get cute babies, we get cute puppies. The newest legend in the arena as of August 4th. Oh, well, I'm going to say a big GG to Swamp Things. Love you on the broadcast, my friend. You're always here up for our Twitter followers, and a huge thank you for continuing to follow up with the Swamp Things.
I must say, they're setting a dangerous precedent by having a baby or a dog for every split. You're going to have a busy house if you go down that road, so just stop while you're ahead. You've got a cute puppy, got a cute baby.
You have 20 teams.
You've got your 2 already. You don't need a trio. Come
Apex
on,
Legends baby series. Whew. This is, don't worry, it's good. Sorry. Carry on, Kate.
No. I really, the problem is all I want to do is watch the two of you go at it, which is going to be excellent. But you know what? You can continue watching this journey unfold with our Twitter feed at Play Apex Esports. They're doing a tremendous job on that Twitter feed. There's so much fun to watch. You'll keep up with everything we've been seeing. Our NA, our EMEA, our South America, our APEC North and South. So many plays. And of course, youtube.com/Play Apex Esports. And if you're watching us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Play Apex. We're everywhere you want to be, and we are excited that you are a part of this journey that, of course, has only just begun here for our EMEA and our North American region. Remember, tomorrow we got a lot more in store for you, so keep it right here. For Gaskin, Onset, Fallout, and Persia, thanks so much for watching here. Day 1 of the ALGS Pro League. Have a great day.